Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Truth to Faith podcast. I'm your host, Cliff Steven. We got a great guest today, a regular guest, Brandon from uh, the Man of Daily podcast.
Tannenbaum Trump, an Xmas story.
Nice. Hey, you could make a living alone on doing other people's cover art. You're so good at it, bro.
Well, the only once I have to give Heidi credit, she gave me a good site. But because I understand the symbolism world,
Yep.
it's very easy for me to go, I want this to look like this. When we did One Nation Under Satan, I'm like, Baphomet's the same as this guy and the same as this thing. So what if we just merge that? Okay, and we're gonna do that.
No, they're epic. Honestly, your cover art to the podcast are epic. I love them, man. I love them.
I'll send this over to you when I'm done.
All right.
When we're done today. But again, Kabbalah, it is the art of reading symbolism. So a lot of times when I see a comment and they're commenting from a political lens, I'm like, no, it's kind of like National Treasure. You need to put on the Ben Franklin glasses and you need to click on the red, the red, the green, the red, whatever other colors there were. And then you'll start seeing some things properly or like they live. When you put on the sunglasses, you see what's underneath these, some little messaging, do this, do that. And Kabbalah is the traditions of men. And that's a phrase that we read in the Bible all the time. I think Matthew, I think there's a phrase in Mark, and it was never really favorable, except I think 2 or 3 times in the entire New Testament. But it is essentially as above, so below. Is we can merge science and scripture, the world and the word. We can bring God down to our level and create him in our own image. Yeah, that's what Nimrod's son was teaching. This is what Freemasonry, this is New Ageism, is in essence, we'll find the kingdom of God within ourselves. It's like, no, the presence of God, the gift of the Holy Spirit, you have to let him in. It's not about finding it within. And this is, somebody was commenting the other day, the kingdom of God is, I'm like, no, we don't even have those on my page. Sorry. No, that's not acceptable because you're going to mislead somebody. And I don't want that on my following because I'm trying to help people away from that.
Yep.
So watching the Red One, and I couldn't find the slide of who, I follow so many truther pages. I lost track of whoever compiled at least 3 or 4, and they showed the Baphomet horn thing for the ELF in that movie. And I chuckled because I did see it as you were pointing out, and I was also noticing the little conversation that Dwayne the Rock Johnson and the J.K. Simmons guy who was playing Santa.
Yep.
And they were talking. He's like, I got to retire, and I don't see the good in people. And the phrase that he was saying is, "Oh yeah, it's about finding the good in them." But when you slow it down, I literally told my buddy as we were watching, "Stop it." He's like, because I kept telling him to stop it like every 2 seconds, once in a while, just to mess with him. I said, but you understand what if you listen to that and you put that with Satan as opposed to Santa, what is he saying? Oh, that was their decision, right? If they wanted to keep that ones or allow me to do what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. And I'm over here going very subtle contexts, but it's telling us the truth. If you understand the symbolism, is you are the guys that allow this to actually be real. The Matrix, quote unquote, the hard times in life. It's not me. I just thrive off of your ignorance or you putting energy into this. Yep. And that is what Kabbalah is when you do it with your holidays. And then I was chuckling because, of course, I saw the Krampus character. I'm not going to lie, I think he was my favorite character out of the whole movie. And that was probably by design of how they cast and did everything. And what I was thinking, again, as I was composing these slides over in Germany, this is, frequently you see him as the character that steals the kids. And in the Red One movie, he was talking about, they had the list. And Santa had the good list, and he was over here saying, no, we need to punish them once in a while. So I'm going to steal that list and punish all the bad ones. And in essence, I think thinking in Babel story that perhaps Nimrod had like a yearly festive games, right? And it was similar to the Rome where they would give out lottery prizes occasionally in the Colosseum. So I'm thinking, go way, way, way back into Mesopotamia. I could see this going down. And then eventually you get your son come along, Hermes or Tammuz, right? And he's saying, yeah, it was a fun, I like what my dad did, but what if there was another side to this, like a consequence aspect? And what if, like, you got punished if you didn't pay your tax tithe on the holiday or whatever it was? And this is where you get the mythos beginning of Krampus. And again, I say taxes because Hermes, Tammuz, is alleged to be the originator of coinage. So I'm thinking like this. I'm like, okay, brothers, because he was half brother to Apollo. He did his own mother. So that, again, whether true or not, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, if I did a mini series right now, the things I could do just with symbolism alone with the script. Hyperbole, yes. But is there enough lore and occultic symbolism to back up what I'm pitching on a screen if it was a story? I think so. For those who aren't aware, who is Krampus? Well, Krampus is the legend of the devilish Krampus, though rooted in Germanic folklore, now spans centuries and continents. Said to roam the streets in early December in search of naughty children to punish. This foreboding figure wields a handful of birch sticks for whipping disobedient youngsters, carrying the most unruly off to the underworld on his back. Good children will instead be rewarded to St. Nicholas, Satan. Krampus snatched a night of costumed revelry is celebrated every December 5th, with participants donning masks, clanging bells, in a parade known as Krampus Slot. I'm probably butchering over all that because I don't speak German, and I'm fine with that. But something else I found interesting. It was given over to St. Nicholas. Now, St. Nick is a term, Old Dictionary, Webster's, I believe it is a term referring to Satan. So the good kids were given over to Satan, and the bad ones were taken over to hell.
Lose
Whether or
lose.
not, great. It does make you scratch your head going, okay. But then donning masks, Dionysus, Nimrod, was known as the masked god of theater, as we had with 2020. So whether there was something there with the mask, allegory there of just remembering your father, and we wear the mask in his memory, and then parades clanging bells. Now the bells I found interesting because in some lore and or some of these truther pages, they're pitching that ringing bells scares away bad spirits. Secondly, Horus, an equivalent of Tammuz and or Hermes, Nimrod's son, was I think he connects Horus, our Horus. When you Google it, they're going to say no. But when you keep reading, it talks about the equinox. And it made me chuckle because I was like, equinox would connect with the sun cycles, and therefore that would connect with Ra. And, Ra and Horus eventually merge together. So, yes, I do think there's a connotation between bell towers or ringing a bell, bell, children sacrifices. I'm finding it a little bit interesting. And also the root word for Trump's name, by the way, stems from Dionysian triumph. And that was given praise unto him. So I'm seeing a little bit of lore, mythos, possibly there's origination here. Could be wrong, but it's just worth speculating,
Hey, you know what's funny is like so many people, and again, because I was one of them, we just do things because it's culture and it just gets passed on. Like the thing when, people say knock on wood. People say that, but they don't know the origins. That's,
Yeah.
I think it was the Celtics or somebody would knock on trees, something to do with spirits. I mean, there's so many, like our whole reality is that if you don't know God and you're doing all these things, but you don't even know and you don't care to know, you're just like, yeah, I'm just doing me. I'm a God, doing what, people, you have to start seeking knowledge. Like you have to look, you have to try to understand. And too many people just go about their day. And it's
Forgive
sad,
them,
man.
Father, for they know not what they do. Jeremiah lamenting in the well. I mean, I get it, but it's like this is where sometimes it grieves my heart. I'm like, I don't even know if I want to put energy going onto your show because everything I say is not going to be applicational, and it grieves my heart because I'm like, I'm trying to help people walk away. You have clear sources. I'm showing you the occultic pages. It's not me. So you're just being a biased Christian saying everything's pagan. It's like, no, I'm showing you
That
exactly.
everything's pagan.
Well, yes, but explaining what paganism is, what it ultimately is teaching, and how that might be interfused in your life, and how to weed it out, right?
Yeah.
Wheat amongst tares, and I'm trying. But I can understand some people they may never know. Maybe it's going to be the audience member that I reach as opposed to a host. All I'm saying, it does drain because I'm really
Yeah.
putting my heart into this because I want to help you walk away. I know it's not easy, but I also want to make sure the truth is so right in your face that you have, without a shadow of your doubt, I'm convicted. I don't need to second guess. I don't need to. It's and if I do want to further my research and confirm for myself, I'm totally fine with that too. Most people don't even have energy. Like I did a Catholic episode, and they're all like, I'm like, you didn't even watch the episode because you're saying the guy doesn't know anything about being a Catholic, or these two don't know anything about being a Catholic. The guy was a Catholic for 34 years before he became an evangelist to convert people away from Catholicism. So, case in point, you didn't even listen to the show. You just saw the title and you wrote a bad comment.
Yep.
So, anyways, just showing again, these are postcards that you can get in Germany with the theme of Krampus. Something I found interesting is he's carrying the bag of fruit. I was immediately thinking of cornucopia, and according to what I was hearing, allegedly, the cornucopia was connecting to the horn that was next to one of the gods that were in heaven, and Zeus or somebody ripped it off, and that became the horn of plenty.
Mm.
So just found it interesting. There's it's got to come from somewhere. There's a commonality here. Who knows? And again, December 5th is not too far away from when we have our Thanksgiving thing. So, and again, 13-month cycle as opposed to the 12-month cycle that we go by. Like when we're talking about the last days, it says specifically there's like 1,260 something days that I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quite sure if I got that 100% correct, but the two witnesses go out and, why did he not give us months? Because he knew that they were going to change the time in the seasons, the Catholic Church, the Gregorian calendar. So it's saying you
Mm.
literally can count by day. And granted, no, we don't know the day or hour, and I'm fine with that. But it doesn't say that we can't longingly look for the day or month, and with hope. With hope, it's not like, oh, it's going to happen, and we need to have a doomsday cult. No, it's just saying hopefully, like what I just pitched in the beginning. Maybe there's a chance that could happen, right?
Mm.
Because we see the signs. There's a reason why we have Revelation, and as the bridesmaids, the Revelation was written for bridesmaids that are awake, not the sleeping ones. I hate to break it to you because you're not going to understand it until you lift that veil, which is what Revelation means. How are you supposed to kiss your groom unless you understand what's going on in the world, right? Or you don't understand the symbolism. So, are you a fan of high heels?
I mean, I'm not really. I care less.
Well, there's a lot of people want to do their own little study. I was reading Rob Skiba, and he was talking about a lot of satires, STYR, or goat gods, are mentioned a lot in the Old Testament. And whether or not this is true, a worthless person, a wicked woman, walks with perverse mouth. She winks with her eyes. She shuffles her feet, right? It's not too
Yeah.
easy to walk in those things. And she points with her fingers. Perversity is in her heart. She devises evil continually. She sows discord. Therefore, her calamity shall come suddenly. Suddenly, she shall be broken without remedy. Proverbs 6:12-15.
Wow.
Isaiah 3:16-26, and 1 Thessalonians 5:22. And if you're listening solely to audio, it's just showing high heels and how they look very similar to Pan, the demon god. How they just look very similar with the way they have the high heel postured. The rebellious spirit, perhaps it stokes. Don't really know. Me personally, I've never liked it. I've never understood the fascination with it. It's just something to consider. Again, probably wasn't invented until I think the French or whoever, probably in Europe or whatever. But who's to say there wasn't some sort of variation archaically, and then they were inspired to reboot it, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what they always do.
The one thing I could say is like every time you know, even since I was little and I'd see a woman in heels and how uncomfortable they looked, I didn't get that part. Like, yeah, oh, they look great, but why would you want to walk like that? You know, your foot's slanted. I mean, I don't get them personally, but
Neither do I. And again, you know them by their fruits, but something else I found interesting. Again, we already talked about the pine cone cycles. I'm touching on it again because it does connect with some of the stuff we touch on. Where the life cycle, where the pine tree begins, and conversely, where new life begins. Many reliefs excavated in Mesopotamia sites depict gods or super beings holding a bucket and or like purse in one hand and a pine cone in the other. It is clear that the pine cone was dipped into the bucket and was used to sprinkle a substance, sometimes blood. In this depiction of Tammuz, a winged Babylonian deity associated with regeneration. Again, we'll be touching on that. Just make notes. But I found it interesting because everybody was like, the Hermes bag, does that connect with this Tammuz guy?
wow.
Is there an equivalent in the Greek? You know, we get the high heels. Fashion, fashion, fashion. He was known to be a bit of a hermaphrodite. Hermes, hermaphrodite, cross-dresser. Maybe. I don't know. Don't know. But again, it's worth considering, hence I'm throwing it out there for you to glance at. It doesn't look anything like it. Again, variations, equivalence, the whole thing with Babel, right? This one said this and this and this. I don't understand that language, or we have different things around us. How are we going to continue the tradition? We'll adapt it, right?
Yep.
You don't know why you do it. So the parentage of Pan is unclear. He's generally the son of Hermes. So you know how I was saying that uh, whether it's Hermes or it's Tammuz or it's Nimrod, father, son, the mythos, again, as it travels, it's kind of like deity telephone. So was it his son or is his father? I can't remember. But the story gets told again and pieces get left out, things are added, things are embellished, right?
Yep.
When you do a sequel, and you're like, well, I could tell that story better, but I'll make it like this. Think of it like that. That's what, again, as I was talking with my teacher when I was doing an English class, I said, so the Iliad, and I think was it the Aeneid? I said it's basically was kind of like a spaghetti western redone in America, to put it in modern terms. Like they rewrote it to make Roman in the Greek. And he was like, yes, that's an amazing analogy. He's like, that's exactly what it was like. And I was like, okay. So, and a wood nymph, wood, very important to make note of that. Either Dryope or Penelope of Matania and Arcadia. In some early sources, such as Pindar, his father is Apollo and his mother is Penelope. Now, Apollo still is an equivalent of Hermes, so where it all comes from, I think it's all one and the same being, but excuse me, maybe again, the tradition keeps going because there's like, oh, well, Buddha wasn't born till 200 years after this one, but it was still around December 25th. Regeneration, reincarnation. You don't think that they can still like, oh, he came back and blah, 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 right? The mythos
Exactly.
continues because you already have the foundational lore.
And then they just build on it and change it up a little bit.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. In ancient Greek religion and mythology, Pan is the god of the wild, shepherds, and flocks, nature of mountain wilds, rustic music, and impromptus. Now, again, remember when I played that video for you? I think that was one of the videos where that first started clicking for you because I was watching it live on the screen. You were just going, oh my gosh. But God made Trump video. And again, you could look it up, but there's a phrase in there specifically, a shepherd unto mankind. God made Trump to be a shepherd unto mankind. And again, they always call Trump what? The
The
goat.
goat.
And I found a poster online with covering half of his face with the goat in the Masonic American flag, red, white, and blue. And those go to the crowns of Egypt. And I was just going, wow. There. And what do we get in the New Testament, right? All the nations will be gathered before him. He will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Matthew 25, verse 32. So all the nations, right? As we were just talking, Antichrist has rule over them. There are 10 kingdoms at some point. Personally, I think the Christians might be able to resist for some time before that's fully implemented. Sorry, I'm trying to hold back coughs because I'm still getting over the cold. But he also says he's going to separate sheep from goats. So if you already say the sheep know the shepherd, and when they hear my voice, they come unto me, right? They know the shepherd's voice.
Yeah.
So who would be left behind with that? Nice phrasing. It would be the goats, those who wanted to be part of the world, those who wanted to follow the evil shepherd. Dumazit, Tammuz, Pan, trickster god, Hermes, the trickster that would occasionally guide souls into hell. All I'm saying is that this is what they're doing. They're trying to harvest, because if you think your vessel is not important to them, you have another thing coming, because that's half the fight of spiritual warfare, is I want something to embody. Yeah. So the imagery of Pan and Baphomet often resembles goats. You may notice the satanic and devil symbolism often includes goat-like features such as horns and hooves, which begs the question, why is a goat connected to Satanism? Well, the answer depends on who you may ask. According to Live Science, one hypothesis as to where to associate the association came from is Pan, the god of the wild in Greek mythology, who is often depicted as a satyr, which is a human with hooves and horns and possibly horse-like features. By the Renaissance, fawns, same thing, like Mr. Tumnus from the Narnia, so it's kind of depicted as a two-footed creatures with the horns, legs, and tail of a goat, and the head, torso, and arms of a human. They're often depicted with pointed ears. These late-form mythological creatures borrowed their look from the satyrs, who in turn borrowed their look from Pan and the Greek pantheon. They are symbols of peace and fertility, and their Greek chieftain Cernuous, with a minor deity in Greek mythology. Pan was in ancient Greek the god of pastures, flocks, and wild mountains and rustic music. Music industry, anybody? In Rome, he was called Faunus. This is where we get the root word for fun. He had the body of a satyr, and again, blah, 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 same thing. He was known as to produce the sound called a panic, pan, that caused extreme pain to anyone who heard it. Kind of sounds like some weapons we've heard about before, right?
Yep.
This sound is the origin of the English word for panic. He was the lord of the wild, and as such, all forest-dwelling creatures answer to him, including, but not exclusively, satyrs, nymphs, and forest creatures. Again, mythos. Sure, we'll take that.
Hey, and they had a lot of those in the red one as well, like the hack. Yep.
They show us subtly, sometimes right in your face, but they show us. So, a horned god. There are several different interpretations of the symbol of the horned god. One of the better known being the upside down pentacle. You ever hear about the Christmas tree tradition of hanging your tree upside down?
No.
Yeah, they sometimes do that a lot more so in Europe, but yeah, it's a thing. As like pinnacle upside down. Interesting. The uttermost 2 points do look like horns. The manifestations of the ancient Greek deity are many. Cernuous, in Celtic tales, the Greek god Pan, and ancient Ammon, Egyptian Ammon. With the coming of Christianity, the old pagan horn gods were lent to a more sinister image than their previous reputation as the male aspect of the nature god. The horned god was turned into the devil. So we're wondering, oh, look, the monks just thought, hey, yeah, we want the opposite of whatever God is, so we're going to draw this horned figure in the book so that people understand Satan is bad. Where did it come from, right? Like, This is alleged, but everything that we hear in mythos came from something that the Greeks or whatever saw. Now, I think it was the fallen angels came down, they created the giants. The giants, in turn, started mating with animals and whatnot, and this is where we get a lot of the cryptids. Now, I listen to a lot of those shows and I play it in the background because if I ever encounter something like that, I want to make sure I got my details accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or when I'm seeing something and people are like, "What's it on that?" I'm like, "That sounds like the Glitter Man. That sounds like this one," because you have to admit some of them have this gift of telekinesis. Said a lot of angels have the gift of doing that, right? And as opposed to just saying it just doesn't exist, it's not out there. There's more than enough stories out there for me to be convinced. There's always a consistency of the thing, whether the person was in Illinois, California, or the UK, or wherever. There's always a consistent thing of the description. So again, I don't listen to it to get freaked out. I listen to it for intel because we are at war with these things.
No, and you have to like I mean I'm not so much now, but I used to love Bigfoot. I was enthralled with it because I know it's real, but what is it, you know? And I've heard one lady say it was, you know, she talked to one and it was a fallen angel and he was trying to get back in God's good grace. And I mean, I know I believe these things are out there, are things that we don't understand. And I think the government probably knows what a lot of this stuff is, and they must, right?
Yes. And well, okay, so according alleged. Um there was a coworker that I had at my former job and he was a Mason. Not super high up because he was very ignorant about a few things, but he did give me the name Tammuz, so I'll give him that. But he did say that there is a cryptid village in California. And I'm like, "Oh, come on, you're pulling my leg." He says, "No, there's just something you literally can blah, blah, blah." And I was over here like a whole place. He's like, "Mm." Now I know they already have underground, bunkers and whatnot, and to what extent, I don't know. I personally don't think these guys are coming out in a heyday until after Apophis situation. I think that's when, oh, mommy and daddy's back. Yay, big family reunion, and everybody gets possessed, and you get all these creepy cryptid things running all over the earth. Yeah, that's personally what I see going down.
Well,
I think
you know what's funny? That was in Red One too. The League of the, mystical creatures, and they
yes,
had them in the
yes,
cages.
yes,
I
and again,
mean,
Pan had to. What did he just say? They all had to answer to him.
yeah,
Pan, Krampus. I'm just again, you see it's the
yeah,
similarities,
yeah.
whether true or not. It's just
It's something to think about. I mean, if we're warriors of Christ, I love that you get into all the stuff and you know it. You're gonna see it better in that you have to not be afraid of evil. You know, we're protected. It says that he's gonna protect us in any situation when we're doing his work, and I
yes.
truly believe it. We have to be willing to go in there and see it and understand it and hear it, because when you have discernment, now you could do what you do and you do it great.
Discernment is exactly why I created this part up here. But I've said it verbally, but I want you can see it on the screen. Holy Spirit discernment, right? Dis means set apart. CERN, roughly his name comes to mean the horned one, and I have him on the screen if your folks are looking. And ment comes from the Latin mind. So roughly, discernment would come to equate set apart the horned one from your mind.
Mm,
What are they trying to do with us? Always keep us in a panic. What do they want to do with us? Take over our hearts and our minds, right? Your hearts and our minds are far from me. CERN, 666 with the logo. Yes, CERN in Switzerland is named after this Cernuous horned guy. The logo is 666. Set apart the horned one from your mind because it's transhumanism. This is what they want to do because, again, I'm going to be touching again, but from what I've seen comparatively, my theories are the only things that explain everything with a biblical timeline and background without going off into these like, oh, we're in the little season or this or whatever. It's like, no, bookend to bookend, because this is what God does. There's always dual prophecies and mirroring constantly. And in fact, this CERN thing is there kind of does make me scratch my head because we know 666 connects to the beast. Does this not look like a beast like creature? And
yeah.
if we understand the mythos, but hold on, is it a mythos? So over here, again, a lot of this is just from books. This is from the Encyclopedia of Elements and Symbolism. But it says, at the triple goddess of the divine feminine, CERN, the horned god, is the divine masculine. Not all Wicca, again, witches, groups recognize or worship the male aspect. The horned god is not Satan, nor is he evil. He does represent the coarser tendencies of humanity, though. What did Santa say in the movie? It's them. It's what they choose. Blah, 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 blah. They believe, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
Though as well representing the tendencies of humanity, though as well representing the son of the goddess's moon. The horns were originally stag-like, branching, but have become more bull-like recently. The curving shape echoing the shape of the crescent moon of the goddess. Cernuous is the Celtic god of the wild forest. In some respects, like Dionysus, equivalent of Tammuz, of Nimrod, in Greek myth, he is almost exclusively shown with branching antlers. Now hold up. So this is, what do you call it when you're drawing, like, I don't know, stick figure, whatever you. This is roughly what they have of this figure, right?
Yeah.
Sun and moon. Looks very similar to what we get with the mosque in the Catholic Church.
Wow.
Sun and moon coming together. Nimrod is sun, Semiramis, mommy, wife, sigil of Astroth, pentagram, is the moon, queen of the heavens. Both the Roman Catholicism and Islam revere the moon god and sun god. Many images of the Catholic Virgin Mary show her standing over a crescent moon. And there are many sun worship images in the Catholic Church, including St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican. Saint, set apart, Peter, Patar, Latin sky god of the underworld. Looks very similar to this guy when you look him up. When meet St. Peter at the pearly gates, sky god of the underworld. Follow?
Yep.
Sounds very similar to St. Peter. The Eucharist wafer represents the sun god, which is placed on a crescent moon in the moonstrance, representing their sexual union and the rebirth of their son Tammuz.
Wow.
CERN, Tammuz, Nimrod. Islamic mosques have the crescent moon representing the moon god and the star for the sun god. Many times you see pictures with the sun cradled in the Islamic moon symbol representing their sexual union.
It's always the same stuff. That's what's you know what I mean? It's too similar. There's no,
Well, again, you can go, or you could look on, like, again, on the screen, cross-reference what I'm saying and go, yikes. Because, again, you can see I got this from online. This was, again, Googling on CERN. Where do we get the World Wide Web? Right? I'll make you fishers of men. Net, hold, restrain, internet. Place for two more corpse. So internet, CERN. Talking about the horned one. We're talking about 666. You think it would behoove us, if this is the foundational character that we have confirmed connects with Nimrod, that we have confirmed connects to the unholy trinity of Babel and Tammuz, that if this 666 is something we as Christians in the book of Revelation are supposed to be freaked out or be aware about, have discernment over, to be set apart, like we don't want that in us. We want that set apart from us. Discernment, right? So it would behoove us to try to grasp this so that when Antichrist does show on the scene, we are not taken unawares.
Yep.
Right? So yes, I could be crazy, but would you rather say, you know what, I'll listen with a grain of salt, and if I see it, then I'll be like, okay, he was right. And it's not about being, no, it's just, okay, what else you got?
You know what I love though, Brandon? Like I love your presentations. You do them so well, but like I see so many videos where people will show this stuff that you just show, right? But they're not doing it through a biblical lens. They haven't read the Bible. They don't have a connection with God. So what they do, again, it's Satan, Antichrist behavior. They start showing the stuff you showed, but what their argument is, oh, God's not real. This is a control mechanism. God is all loving, and everyone goes. And it's sad because I see people who truly believe that, and here they are. Oh, God's just a control mechanism. Jesus is a control mechanism. I got my crystals, and it's my heart breaks for them. I'm like, no, you're lost, man. Until you read that word and God touches your heart and He talks to you, and He talks, all the ways He shows you He's real. I mean, you're never gonna understand until you humble yourself, and try to get to know him, And it does it. It just breaks my heart because there's so many people who twist this, and Satan's so good. Like we said a million times, he makes it. He's the author of confusion. He's the father of lies. He's so good at it. He created lies, and I just love your presentations, man, because you have the discernment, and I see it. I see it everywhere, especially when I talk to you. Like I know you're over the mark, and I love it.
Over the mark, so we don't get the mark of the beast.
That's right, for real. That's right.
So I think I've covered this before in our Valentine's one, but again, just throwing it up here. So Valentine's Day is a festival of love, and amalgamates the pagan traditions of Rome and Northern Europe, and the deity, and dedicated to the Norse deity Vali, the archer god, son of Odin. Make note of that. And to Juno Februa, to the right, where we get the word for February, goddess of maternal and married love. The festival begins after sunset on the 15th of February. Girls should decorate their pillows with bay leaves to dream of their lover and husband, blah, 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 blah. So that was interesting. I saw Odin. I saw Archer. Make note of Cupid on the side as I read this next part. On the 15th of February, Lupercalia is an ancient festival in Roman paganism. Ovid describes this festival to the rustic god Faunus. Again, root word for fun, also connecting with Pan. Protector of agriculture and flocks. Giver of oracles, just like with Hermes, messenger between the gods, and an aspect of the great god Pan. This is a day when the animals help humans. It also celebrates the she-wolf, who suckled the infants of Romulus and Remus. In the Odinists' calendar, again, Odin, this day is sacred to learn Siegfried. That's the Pagan Book of Days. You can buy that yourself. I have purchased this book as a slide that I found, and I was like, okay, I'll pick it up because trivia. And something I found interesting when I saw a sketch of Tammuz standing between mommy and daddy. Has wings, right? It's carrying a caduceus staff, just like Hermes here. Caduceus staff happens to be the same thing that we see as Baphomet's manhood. Now, all three of these characters have wings on the back, but Hermes, wings on the heels. Still wings, horned one. So, what's something else you could put together here? So we just heard archer, right?
Yep.
Gilgamesh name roughly translates into archer. It's alleged that God gave Nimrod a bow from heaven to slay the last of the Nephilim. Alleged. Again, it's lore. Not saying it's die-hard Bible stuff. However, if it's true that he did have some sort of bow, and you're having people all around for these parades, and you have little baby Tammuz playing with daddy's toy at a feast day or whatever. Oh, look, little 2-3-year-old Nimrod's back, and that's so cute. Well, he was made with love. Oh, love, yeah, we'll have a whole feast day. Saturnalia under him. Don't know. Again, I'm pitching total hyperbole. However, you have to wonder with the whole Tower of Babel if there wasn't a little something where somebody says, yeah, that's how I remember him. I remember him when he was a teen and he wore that fancy feathered hat. Okay, why don't you make that? What about that scepter thing that he had that represented mommy and daddy? I remember that. He always used to carry that around when he was, and thus the mythos continue. Add to that what we get with the symbiotic relationship of already fallen angels, fallen Nephilim, right? I want you to co-possess me, similar to Venom. So you have originally their lore, but then you're saying, oh, he's inside me. mythos rise, right? Like a fallen Nephilim or whatever. He's inside me. So his lore is now my lore. And then you have Babel on top of that. So yes, you're going to get a jumblation of, oh, it was a Titan originally. Then it was this. But you see where I'm coming from? If you think
Absolutely.
you're possessed, but you actually believe it, like we see in some movies, right? I am a god, like Loki or whatever in Marvel.
Yep.
Granted, in the movie, yes, he is, but you have to understand, emperors had this complex. A lot of crazy cuckoo people, at least so we read, but at the time, they were kind of terrifying and imposing. Why? Because much as we say we have faith in Creator God, there is enough of demonic possession where these people get their kicks in some sort of deal, whether it's tearing them apart corrosively on the inside, they're just unaware for a time, but they're enough to be a threatening and imposing force. And it must have been something at Babel, because the mythos and the traditions we're still doing today. So there was something definitely there, whether it was Stockholm syndrome or cognitive dissonance, something resonated in the human psyche where a lot of people have a hard time getting away from what was established at Babel.
And we see it like we see it today. Like nothing's really changed. Modern people think, we're so much advanced and we're smarter and all this stuff. But in reality, there's nothing new under the sun. Everything's a cycle. It builds up, it gets, or, I'm just guessing, but basically things just keep repeating, and the same stuff creeps in. And you see it with these music artists. They're talking about, oh, I don't know where the song came from. And most of them are doing rituals. Someone's talking through them. And I mean, it's just wild, man.
Like, it could be wrong, but we've heard, testimonies where they're talking, you're like, what the freak are you talking about? Oh yeah, I have this like demon baby thing, or he talks to me, and you're just like, okay. All right, that's not creepy. Have fun. All right. Again, I could be wrong, but if if you're enough looking at the truth but not wanting to understand context, where did this start? That's where I'm trying to fill in that blank, so that again, you can shoot from the hip, but again, sometimes you're not coming from a Christian background.
Yep.
That's what I'm trying to do, so that when you're explaining it to people, you sound a little bit more resonated as opposed to kind of out there.
Yep.
So Wotan or Odin, and I'm probably butchering pronunciations. Leave your comments below. Uh, Anyways, Odin is the chief god of the Scandinavian pantheon. His attributes are numerous and seemingly conflict with one another. He is not only the god of war and death, but also of poetry, prophecy. Can't see the rest of that on the screen, and comes from the some roots of Wotan, which means to rage. And the idea of this fury surrounds the god. He is the god of thunder, heard of stormy nights raging in the sky with his army of slain soldiers. Wotan is the god invoked by the Saxons and the Angles. And they invaded Britain in the 5th century, and his influence is all pervasive. How do we recognize Wotan? To humankind, he often appears in the guise of a simple traveler, wearing shabby clothing and a wide brimmed hat. However, when he appears in his true form, he is a magnificent sight. He strides the Sleipnir, an ultra speedy 8-legged horse that can gallop across water as though it were solid earth, and he is accompanied by 2 ravens, Fusion and Munin, thought and memory. And again, Thoth is where we get the root word for thought, allegedly. And report back to him everything, every evening, the events in the lives of men. Apollo also was affiliated with ravens. As if this were not remarkable enough, Wotan has only one eye. He gave away the other to Mimir, the demon that lives in among the root of the Yggdrasil, of the world tree. In exchange, again, world tree, make note of that, for a drink of water from a well of wisdom that sprung up from the base of the tree. What did Christ
Wow.
say to the lady at the well?
What the everlasting,
The
the
everlasting
water I
water
give
of the
you.
vine. Whether there's something with the tree of life and the Garden of Eden, I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. Well, Wotan is eloquent, speaking in verse like Mercury, an equivalent of Hermes in Rome, whom thought the Romans likened him to. He brought language to his people, allegedly from the Emerald Tablets, Nimrod's son. He gave us alchemy, he gave us the astrology, and he gave us language, allegedly. And this is based off the Emerald Tablets that were written down pre-flood. So is letters and stuff like that bad? No, but this is, you know, the tainted aspect of what, you know, spelling and all this. The bad side was incorporated. Apparently dangling upside down. Romans likened him to be brought to language to his people. Apparently dangling upside down in a tree for 9 days and nights, pierced with his own spear, in order that he should learn the secrets of the runes. Now, actually, from what I've heard, could be wrong. Feel free to leave your comments down below. What I've heard is that that story wasn't there until missionaries started coming into the Scandinavian culture, and they were talking about Christ being, you know, dead for 3 days and whatnot. So they're over here saying, we got to double that. So thus the mythos of hanging from a tree for 9 days, because, you know, our God's definitely better than that. Allegedly, whether true or not. This curious ordeal was akin to a shamanistic rite of passage that would guarantee his own resurrection. Wotan rules the same day of the week as Mercury too, Wednesday, Wotan's Day, which equates to Mercury Day in French, of course. Wotan rules over Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, where dead warriors are brought by the Valkyries under the command of their leader Freya in order to prepare themselves for the final battle, Ragnarok, which will mark the end of the world.
Wow.
Again, we see Odin in the movies. But do we really understand too much? We hear about it in the shows like Vikings and whatnot. Not that it's bad, because again, I think some of those things are kind of interesting. So you're like, oh, so that's what it was like back then, you know? But you're just kind of going, you see how the mythos is migrating from Mesopotamia, slowly going in through Europe, Germanic Europe, the Druids, then going into Scandinavia, then going into England, then staying in Ireland, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
then again, you got some people, allegedly some of the giants, they've left the promised land and they ran all the way up into Ireland. Now, giants are alleged to be red-haired, right?
Yep.
What do we hear with the phrase? Oh, a ginger steals your soul. That probably came from somewhere. Emerald Isles, Emerald Tablets. But again, then you got like what, 1,000-something years, 1,300 years later, you have people coming back, and they have different pronunciations. They have different traditions. But then they merge, and then it becomes conflicted, and then it's like, oh, look, it was a new deity. It was original deity. What's the equivalent of our deity? On top of that, then you get the Catholic Church coming over and saying, it's okay. You can still keep it. We're just going to Christianize it.
Yep.
No. What they did is essentially say, oh, you still have a remnant of Nimrod. That is awesome. Come back to the fold. You can still be pagan. We'll just say it's Christian. Camouflage paganism. This is why I use that phrase, because that is exactly what you did. And I've been reading other books that talk exactly what they did.
Again, and it doesn't take a lot to see that for what it is. You know,
Right.
if you would just take a little bit of time to look into it or watch Brandon's presentations, I mean, it's obvious. It's so obvious.
Piece together yourself. All I'm saying, I'm seeing equivalence, and that's how I read things. It's through
Yep.
Kabbalah symbolism and equivalence. Once you have those two things down, when you're reading it, like I'm not reading my Bible, and there was something in Hebrews I was talking about, like if you start backsliding, not to the point of perdition. Perdition, like the son of perdition, Apollyon, Abaddon, which has connections with Nimrod's son Tammuz, Apollo. And not to go back to perdition. Well, what did perdition do? Nimrod's son. He translated the Emerald Tablets, and the phrase on there is, "The Father of all perfection is here." So when you're saying perdition, not to go back to the point of perdition of essentially saying you're your own God.
Mm.
There was something else I was reading. I read almost like 3 chapters. I was waiting for my meal. And it was talking about, oh, what was it? To say that like we have faith in Creator God and that we don't come from nothing. I was like, I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Chapter 10, 11, and 12. You can try to find where I'm talking about. But I literally made me go, so we know where we come from, where we're not just saying we come from nothing. It's like, no, that sounds like evolution. So it makes me wonder, was there something originally that was already there? Like, I know you have, people that God just doesn't exist or whatever, but to come from nothing, you have the sustenance of saying we know where we come from. We know there is a creator God. So anyways, rabbit trail. Besides a straight and narrow path set before us, all roads lead to Rome. First Thessalonians 5:22 tells us to abstain from all appearances of evil. The Roman god Saturn, notice the Roman wreath like I have in the very beginning. See Saturn statue, Vatican Art Museum. Again, as we did in our episodes, the origins of wreaths, halos, and crowns. Yes, Saturn does connect with this, right? It's like we're saying, oh, look, they're all fascinated with Saturn. What's so big about Saturn, right? I'm going to be showing. I have slides. Thank you, Katy Perry. You did really. You got a naughty tattoo. You showed me. You showed me exactly what I had a hunch about. But anyways, Saturnalia, the feast of the Roman god Saturn, is still celebrated by Rome today to pre-welcome back the sun for December 25th, winter solstice. Research Odin, the god of the Yule sun feast, Yuletide, winter solstice spreading over December 25th. Odin, the god of war and the dead. And something again that's very interesting. Odin, what did he do? He gave up his eye for wisdom.
Yeah.
What do we always see in the occult when they're doing those poses?
Yep.
Because you think you can literally get your own wisdom and become your own god, or you get another tier, another, right? And again, tree, regeneration, reincarnation, as we already saw with Odin. There's another connection there. We're going to, Mimir then dipped his horn. Again, a horn of plenty, connecting with the cornucopia. The reward, Odin gained magical knowledge that allowed him to cure the sick, calm storms, and more. What were they saying about Christ? Oh, he practices dark magic, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
But allegedly, the same guys you're following, again, different methods, different equivalents, he does similar things, but he's like, that's not how he does it. You're doing it wrong. Because our guy would be saying, look within ourselves, and you're telling us we're snakes. How dare you? That hurts our feelings. So Odin's sacrifice demonstrated the lengths he was willing to go for the pursuit of wisdom. So every time you see one of those poses, you now know how to write a comment of going, it's not just creepy occult gesture. You have some little context to throw out to somebody. So Sol Invictus, the pagan sun god that helped Christianity conquer the Roman Empire. And this article is basing off of the book, The Cult of Sol Invictus. You can get off of Brill Publishing for like $94. I purchased it. Yes. Top 5 books if you're trying to understand the true origins of the Catholic Church, and BlackRock exposes both in that book. But Sol Invictus and Mithraism is the foundation of Catholicism or camouflage Christianity, quote unquote. And I'm putting that in quotation marks. Don't take my word for it. You're rolling your eyes already. So you mind explaining to me why on X the Satanic Temple posts Sol Invictus with the face of Baphomet?
Yep.
Because they know. And it's a pentagram as well. They know. Well, at least higher ups. Not necessarily every lower practitioner does. Just like what I've been telling people, like Turning Point USA or whatnot. It doesn't mean everybody that works for a particular organization is controlled opposition. Some of them are literally hired because they are caught up in the traditions of men and buying the lies of patriotism and the illusion of choice and things of this world. And because you look pretty, of course, we'll keep other people attached to this lie because you're just as brainwashed. So, yes, we'll hire you. You get somebody like me, and they're like, you're not what we're looking for at this time. Why? I wonder why. Is it because I call out things as I see them and I don't go for this party or that? You have to wonder, dude. You have to wonder. So, Freemasonry, Kabbalah, New Ageism, or the occult. The goal is to find the inner light of God within yourself, hence enlightenment, inner enlightenment. God, Christ, pagan, doppelganger, Tammuz, or soul, Hermes, Baphomet, fill in the blank. The occult's Messiah figure says, look within, not submit to him. And as we did in God's Been Divorced, what is submitting to God? It is submitting to his word. What was his word made flesh? That was Christ. Can't get any better than that. Again, could be wrong, but we know that back then they have the gift of chiseling, do they not? So you could say, come on, it's a stretch, you're overthinking it, but why does Constantine do the same hand pose
Wow.
as all these presidents? You think, again, these people are meticulous with chipping. Granted, yes, that's his thumb, these are the other four fingers, but what is he holding to make that almost come around to do a full 666? And again, folks, 666 is 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons. It's an ascension thing that we could become our own gods with transhumanism. As opposed to just saying, creepy occult gesture, I'm giving you exactly what it means, right?
What is this now? That the
This is
lady
supposed
with the crowns, is that a coin or something?
That's supposed to be Constantine, I think, chiseled over a church somewhere over in the
Oh
Mediterranean
wow.
area. But you know
Wow.
what I'm saying? Like, they're not
Yeah.
dummies with what they chisel, whether it's his finger or not. It's really weird that it looks just like the modern poses we see of our presidents, right? And
It's mind-boggling.
as we know, we were founded as a what? A Catholic nation for the Antichrist, right? Church
Yep.
and state combining them together, East meets West with Helios. So I don't know, but again, the radiant crown is showing as well. The spiked crown, Constantine saw himself as Sol Invictus, God on earth, right? Soul, find your inner soul, like God. They merged it. They merged it. Pandemic. We had one of those recently. Or pandemonic. Pan is a Greek god, goat god of the wild nature, the flock, and EU. Make note of that with the EU. He is also affiliated with sex fertility, which a lot of you are having during this panic, which Pan is where we get the word panic derives from. Since he was the god of fertility, that leaves him with a connection to spring, which was right about the spring solstice of March 1st for this pandemic. I don't know, but we do have to admit, kind of weird how they always plan things over the time and seasons, right? And again, March, I think, whatever it was originally named, does connect with our first, because March, what is marching? Even if you're saying the word, you're marching. Single filed unit, right?
Mm.
April, maybe there's something there with meaning second, third, but by the time you get to Oct, means 8, October, Nov, November, decimate, decimal 10, right? So whether we want to like it or not, it's like there's something that was already foundationally there of how they judge things, but we're over here going, no, it doesn't do that. But in Freemasonry, don't tell me there's not a connection. Are you a Mason? Are you a Mason? Are you a Mason? And there's a constant theme of quote unquote riding the goat. Right? We know the Knights Templars used to pray to Baphomet, the goat god, which is equivalent of Hermes. Folks did not know this, but again, symbolism will constantly expose it to you. If you just say it's automatic, oh, it's just Satan, I'm praying to Satan. Ish. Because if you just say Satan, you're not understanding what their end game is. And if you don't understand what their end game is, you're running around like a headless chicken. Whereas if you understand what they believe in, it's Satan's Jesus, right? I know that there's some blueprints. He's sending a savior figure. I don't know exactly all the details, but I can create a rough draft sketch, try to emulate that through Nimrod and his son Tammuz. Now, as I've explained before, Tammuz does have name etymology to a certain Donald Trump, as we'll cover. But for me, what are they trying to do? They're trying to regenerate, reincarnate, and establish the golden era of Babel once more in the last days. How do I know this? Well, let's keep clicking here. Freemasons worship Satan. This is ultimately true, the principles of Satanism, but some of the elements of what they were taught goes back to Nimrod's family, right? So it just says Christ, we get the Gospels, and they wrote down what Christ said. Hermes, or the occult guy, this is where they get all their belief systems, right, off of the emerald tablets. So it's the occult's gospel in essence. So if you're a Freemason and you're saying you're a Christian at the same time, and you're going in there and you're merging with perdition doctrines plus the gospel, house divided against itself cannot stand. So when Christ is saying that's Kabbalah, traditions of men, you're mixing two things that don't belong together. Hence why I'm coming here to set a new covenant. And again, I was reading in Hebrews and I was like, yeah, he came here to make a new covenant. Thank God he did. Because the way it was going, they're tampering too much and merging too much with the bad things. And the people, they're innocent sheep. They listen, they follow, they don't do, they don't investigate, right? They just take the word of the holy man. And God's like, no, we're not doing that anymore. I'm going to help you make it a relationship. I'm going to make you my bride. And again, I was reading as well in Hebrews, giving account those who are over you. I don't think that always means masters. I think that might be in the Christian body of Christ, somebody you're accountable to that's been in the faith a little bit longer and who's your mentor, right? Discipleship. I don't know. I'm just reading it going, that makes a little bit more sense. I'm not saying a bishop. I'm not saying pastor as the way that we get it today, but I'm saying somebody that you're just accountable to. It's somebody that's been more experienced and refined in the faith, so that when you're baptized in repentance or baptized in the Holy Spirit, right? Repentance is fine, application is paramount, and that's when you're going up to somebody. And I'm not saying confessional booth, it's just, I need help with this, right? I need help. There's no shame in saying that. So Aleister Crowley was the most famous Satanist of the 20th century. And here he is, decorated in a Masonic outfit in a photo, identifying the logo above him as the symbol of the Baphomet. And I think we saw that over here on his forehead. Sometimes you'll see a star. Sometimes you'll see this, the Ouroboros with the cross of Satan. Orthodox. I've seen some of them. Some who are going, Orthodox Church, you got a snake at the base of your cross, or you got the double. You're essentially you're like, how the Roman Empire split, you had the East and West. I said you're essentially like what, the Eastern equivalent of the Roman Empire. We don't, it's like, yeah, you don't do the Virgin Mary, but you're still doing some of the other stuff symbolism wise that still makes me go.
See, I never dug into any of that stuff. Is that worth digging into?
No, not today. I'm still reading a book. The cover of the book though had the symbol of the X and the P right in the center, and that's supposed to be a penetration naughty symbol.
Wow.
And I was laughing because I'm like, that's on a book that's supposed to be talking about the origins of the Orthodox Church, and that's, if I know what the symbol means, I'm kind of curious now. What else you got going on in this book? Because I was reading the reviews. It's supposed to be one of the best breakdowns history. And again, I want to know the history, not necessarily condemning the theology first, because it's like I want to understand the symbolism, because that's where my argument is. If I can point you to your unknown God, right? There's a fallacy here. Can you explain that to me? You can't. I can give you context and clarity and give you directions of who my creator God is right here and now, and how that's influencing the entire Roman Empire. Can you explain to me the identity of this? I don't know. Cool. Shall we continue talking? Again, Christians, this is what we're given the boldness to do, is call out these things. There's no shame in doing it, but again, you can use logic to help kind of bring the smart people come over and be like, oh yeah, there's yeah. Why? Because smart people sometimes need facts, right?
Yeah.
The Bible is one of the most factual books you'll ever get, but it's learning how to articulate it and understand the world around you so you can give context and clarity that, and compare and contrast, right? Which we did when we were growing up in school, or we should have been doing. Compare and contrast. Which other symbol looks just like this triangle? Draw a line or circle, blah, 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 right?
Yep.
You should be training how to do this with your mind, with symbolism. So, this individual I'm related to, sadly, not sure if he's an uncle or a cousin, but anyways.
Who's this guy in the left-hand corner here?
Yeah, Albert Pike.
Oh, you relate to Albert Pike?
I'm related to the guy that discovered Pikes Peak, Colorado. And then I Googled, was Zebulon Montgomery Pike related to Albert Pike? And somehow they think they're cousins, if I'm not mistaken. So I was like, so somewhere along the line, I am related to this guy. Distant cousin or uncle, I think. That which we we must say to the crowd, so publicly, this is what we tell them, is we worship a god, but is the God of one who adores without superstition. To you, sovereign grand inspectors general, we say this, that you may repeat it to the brethren of the 32nd, the 31st, and the 30th degrees of the Masonic religion should be, by all of us initiates of the high degrees, maintained in purity of the Luciferian doctrine. If Lucifer were not God, would Adonai, Jesus, culminate, spread false and harmful statements about him? Yes, Lucifer is God. And that is AC de la Rive la Femme et. Can't pronounce all that French jargon, but page 568. And that is a quote from Albert Pike.
It's crazy because I just seen a video where again it was one of these people who are twisting this to, basically the girl was saying Satan's the good guy. He was trying to help humanity. And they believe that, man. It's like, again, it's like I wonder, did this girl ever read the Bible to try to see the other side? You just wonder, like, how do you get that lost where you're pushing this, false agenda and twisting everything? Satan's the good guy. It's like, it's just mind-boggling.
That's the whole premise of Superman, right?
Yep.
Get kicked out and he wants to go back up and go up against Zod or whatever it was.
Yep.
And I've always hated Superman because he's too OP. I like my hero with some flaws. With Superman, that doesn't happen. No, it doesn't. No. So, notice the symbol of the Baphomet around Albert Pike's neck in the upper left. So they just zoomed in. And on the fez of Henry C. Clausen, far left, on left, Council of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, Southern jurisdiction at Charlestown, South Carolina. Upper center is the same symbol used by Satanist and 33-degree Freemason Aleister Crowley when he signed his name Baphomet X. Now, considering Aleister Crowley was nicknamed the Beast, Mark of the Beast, Baphomet X. We have a guy that has a lot of his platforms all by the name of X. Cernuous, CERN. Yes, Brandon, I'm wrong. I'm falling off the bandwagon as my mentor has told me. I'm sorry, folks. Obviously I'm stupid. I don't understand what any of the text I'm reading. I'm just that stupid. Did GED, 6th grade. I'm so stupid. I'm just saying, dude, it's so freaking obvious when you read the text and you're just going, okay, now what does the Bible say after I read this, right? Notice the symbol of the Baphomet on the letterhead of the current Sovereign Grand Master, C. Fred Plankenschmidt. Albert Pike defines Baphomet in Morals and Dogma, page, where Mason's listening, 734, as the hermaphrodite goat of Mendes. Goat head of Mendes is also pictured in the upside down Eastern Star. The Baphomet is the universal symbol of Satan. So yes, is it Satan? Yes. But to give a little bit more context, Satan also has his Jesus character, right? Somebody who's promoting his teachings. So basically, always think of it this way. Propped in the shadow. Who's your shadow, right? Who are you standing in the shadow of? We as Christians are standing in the shadow of Christ, right? In the Word. We have confidence because that Word comes from our Creator. In contrast, inverted, I will ascend to become like my own God. My followers, the kingdom of God is within you. You just have to learn how to solve the riddle. Follow me, my little minions, and we'll kill God ourselves. We'll bring him down to our level. God is the bad guy, as you just said. several variations, but all ultimately intermingling to the same core lie. That yes, that is Satanism. That's why, again, understand what they say, yes, but are they going to tell you exact things? No, because again, they're still trying to figure out who is this Messiah figure. When he wrote this, he was back in the 1800s, late 1900s, right? Early 1900s. So, the 20th century. I've never understood that either. So, again, more about the goat. I did this more in the Lore of the Stars episode, but I'm just bringing these slides up for a moment of context. The symbol, when Spock is doing the hand thingy of live long and prosper, is actually based on the Hebrew letter Shin. In essence, on the popular TV show, every time Spock gave the Shin Vulcan greeting hand sign, he was invoking Kabbalistic magic. Don't believe me? There's literally a book right here on the screen that you can purchase. Kabbalah, same hand pose, The Mystical Heritage of the Children of Abraham by Daniel Hale Feldman. And you see Margaret Thatcher doing it. You see Winston Churchill doing it. You see now former Prime Minister Trudeau doing it. Some other individual, I think that's an actor. And you see Masons in the bottom right-hand corner doing it. Not just me. So the Vulcan is Tubal Cain, the password of the Master of Freemason, the regular to the third degree. Tubal Cain, son of Lamech, mentioned in the Bible, last patriarch of the cursed Canaanite lineage, descendant of Iblis Lucifer, angel of light, which means possession of the world. Right? We've seen a lot of that, right?
Yep.
Find the inner light of yourself. Again, you ever see this guy? Jonathan Cain? Khan?
He looks familiar, but
And when he takes off his thing, you look him up. He's a big time guy down in New Jersey, big time Trump supporter, but he's doing the hand split thing. Of the letter Shin stands for Shaddai. Shaddai in Hebrew is the name for Lord. The temple priest would hold out their hands in this position to give benediction. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he lift you up and face to shine light upon you and be gracious to you. And may he give you peace. Again, could be just a, oh yeah, that's nice, whatever, that sounds good. Why are they doing it over the Star of Remphan? What are you talking about? That's the Star of David. No. Star of Remphan, it's condemned in Amos 5:26, and you took up the tabernacle of Molech and the star of your god Remphan, the images of which you are you yourselves made. Again, when we talked about Stephen the Martyr, Acts 7:43, you have taken up the tabernacle of Molech and the star of your god Remphan, which you worship, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. It's not a star that God is fond of. And this is connecting now to what? Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, which we have here. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which claim that they are yous and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, what as I read before, and to know that I have loved thee. Because they're probably going to be the ones, just like with Christ, are going to be persecuting us, and or in the very least through outlets like Daily Wire and PragerU. It's becoming a very cultural thing. My identity is how I identify as an individual. That's not just the liberals. I identify with MAGA. If you're anti-MAGA, you are against America. You are against me. You are against good. You see how the programming's already there?
yep.
So you are by default, I am Negan.
Yes.
It's zombie world. Yes.
Yes.
You can do it. Need to kill you. Why? Because you're against good morals and ethics and values. You're against everything the nation stands for. You're against this. And it's a zombie mode. You're not even thinking for yourself. If like I said to my buddy, could you dump Daily Wire for 2 to 3 months? Could you take a fast from that? Well, of course he's a little bit biased. It's his home native country being attacked. And I'm like, but could you stop listening to him for 2 to 3 months and try to listen to the stuff that I've recommended? I bought him some books One's about Catholic, one's about Zionism. It's been almost 2 years. Still hasn't touched a single page. I'm not even sure if he still has them. That's almost $50 that I put towards him. I don't want to hear the excuse on Judgment Day. I didn't have to. No, I put somebody in your life. You had the time. You just need to dedicate it. But you didn't want to do that because you didn't want to get rid of your idol, which is your religion, which is politics, or listening to a soothsayer about your culture, how you view the world. That's Kabbalah, right? I make God in mine own image. So, like he says, I'm going to get up there, I'll bring my own resume and my credentials and I'll argue. That's not how it works. And I've explained that to him. Doesn't get it, or he doesn't want to accept that. So anyways, that symbol or that gesture looks very similar to the hoof of the goat.
That's right.
And in Leviticus 16:8, they had the thing where everybody would lay their hands on the goat. They'll put their sins on the goat, and then they'd send it out into the wilderness, right? And then they would make a sacrifice in the tabernacle. But they gave Azazel his portion, which is alleged to be Lucifer. You want the sins of the people? Fine. That's going out into the wilderness on the goat. What are Masons doing? We're riding the goat, baby. He's the greatest of all time, goat. Do you see? You could say it, sure. But after a certain point, I see the symbolism that they're doing, and it's like they're taunting us. Because they know some of us do get it. But they're taunting us, and they're shadow banning us, and they're censoring us. And the fact that they're banking on you being lazy and arrogant, that's how they get away with it, as you said in the beginning. How do they not know? Because you choose not to dig in and invest or examine if you are in the faith, because you're so haughty, you don't want to be humbled.
Yep.
It wasn't a form of idolatry. It wouldn't irk you when someone confronts you and says it's exactly what it is. And I thought I deleted that. That's where it went. I apologize. That's very sloppy of my part. It's all good. But we see the Baphomet here. Samael and Lilith. Again, I always see Lilith, and I'm like, no, that was not Adam's first wife, but it does make you think. Because what do we see over his head?
5G.
And what do we see with the towers?
That's wild.
Looks just like.
Wow, bro.
Penta means 5 in Latin. G, the god, the goat ram over here, right?
Wow.
We already had Solve, which was 9/11, to bring something from another realm into existence, the Antichrist, right?
Wow.
And Coagula, blood clot. So he gets a mark on his forehead or in his right hand. Was it right hand? So what is that? You're getting the merging of man with machine.
That's
done
wild.
by 5G, because scientists want to use people as antennas to power 6G by 2030. And they said the earliest towers will be up by 2028. Yeah, right when the LA smart city is going up and a certain fire is going on in that region, and we're having another Olympics event. I don't know. And again, articles, you could pick your own choice, but Trump signs 5G and broadband mapping legislation into law.
That's right.
Now, as I said, this is what he did during 2020, during Operation Warseed, Ephesians 2:2, in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of this kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient.
Wow.
What did I just say? Government and all that stuff before? Govern, control, meant, Latin, mind control. You're putting your faith in the system. What is the system wanting to do right now? We're going to take Greenland. We're going to take Canada. We're going to take Mexico. We're going to take Panama. And whoa, hold up there, buddy. You just became president. Why are we talking about invading everybody? Can we just kind of we want money to be lowered, so or the groceries to be lowered so we can make ends meet? Why do we have to go invading everybody? Why do we always have to be at war? This is of God? Well, yeah, we're backed by God. Ah. Wow. Like I went to church about 2 Sundays ago, Cliff, and I was chuckling my butt off because the guy, we have a substitute pastor, he's like 72 years old, and he's going, and I'm really hating how this country's going, and they're trying to badmouth all these people in our history, like Christopher Columbus, Christian man, blah 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 blah. Okay, minus the slaves thing, that is true historically. But he wasn't a Christian; he was Jewish, and yes, there's a book confirming this. So there's that, and then he's like, and then George Washington, our founding father, good Christian man, dedicated his life to Christ. So I'm sitting there, and I pull up my phone, and I leaned over, showing the guy the Baphomet sitting next to the George Washington thing with like the sword to his chest statue.
Yeah.
I leaned over, nudging him, and he was like, I was like, yeah, do you see Christian nation? Most founding fathers, it was almost like what, 42, 48 of them were Masons. They don't believe in God. It's a higher being. Keep it vague because we can ascend to become our own gods too.
Yep.
That's not Christian. So stop saying they are. Stop saying patriotism is a good thing when you get into the kingdom of heaven on your resume. It's not. Stop it. But is the congregation going to get it? No, because they're happy. Because what? Now at work in those who are disobedient. You're playing with the harlot with your ideologies. You're defending the things of this world more than the kingdom of heaven. You're getting mad at people like you and me on Facebook who are literally saying, please repent, please get right, start abstaining from things of this world. And they're going, what is wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Push comes to shove, I'm saying, can we just stop with all this already? You're crazy. Because I want to go to heaven. Because I want to be with Jesus. And I don't care about my 401k. I don't care about retirement. I don't care about the next election cycle. I want to go home.
Praise God.
And that's not their concern because they want a 401k and savings. And I get raptured out before it gets really bad anyway. So why do I have to be worried about an antichrist figure? He's supposed to come from over there, not over here. Symbolism. You don't even understand that. You don't understand real history. So how do you know? How do you know? And you don't. You're becoming arrogant in your own ways, and this is why he's going to allow you to fall under a great illusion and deception. So I don't need to read all of this, but just saying that Saturn, planet Saturn, representative of time. Pentagram connects with time travel. And karma. In the Chinese culture, the number 8 represents wholeness, manifestation of possibilities. In Christianity, the number 8 symbolizes regeneration and rebirth. Catholicism, the number 8 is also associated with Hermes. And it looks like the symbol of the caduceus. That's not in Christianity. This has nothing to do with Christianity. Don't you dare say that's us. And therefore, it is also a symbol of healing through transformation. As a combination of 7 and 1, the number 8 can also symbolize the sense of eternity, one's ability to go beyond their limitations of this material world. We have already seen how the number 8, as a combination of 2 4s, talks about transitioning from one reality to the next. And the Kabbalah 8 allows us to go into great detail in order to construct the new material reality that goes beyond the limits set in the energy of 7. We're in a matrix, bro. You just gotta get a collective consciousness, and then we're going to find the perfect equilibrium. And hold on, you're telling me collective consciousness, if we all agree, that's mind control, right? We all agree with the same thing. So then we just lost diversity. So liberals, I don't know why you would be agreeing with this thing, because that's just suddenly just shot yourself in the foot of your social thing. Conservatives, I thought we were against that thing because we're trying to conserve that everybody has the independent right to be their own individual, right? That's why I fought for America, so everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But then you get upset when somebody's protesting for a certain country in the Middle East because I don't know, because they throw you off a roof. Well, which one is it? You need to be a MAGA. MAGA's how you. So what reality is truth, right? When we're finally getting to Pontius Pilate, what is truth? The embodiment is standing right in front of you, man, and you can't even see it. And this is the same thing with Christians today. All you have to do is pick up your word, try to examine some of these things that somebody points out to you. And again, it doesn't have to be me. I'm just saying, when they're posting these, oh, look at this creepy meme. Look at the thing that's going on over in California. Don't you think this is kind of weird what Trump is pitching? Does this sound like biblical prophecies? eye roll, laugh, scoff, haha emoji. Really? I don't want to be in your shoes on the other side, because that's when he says to those people, depart from me. I never knew you. You said you were doing things in my name, but you never repented, truly. You kept being a practitioner. Actions
Mm,
speak louder than words,
mm.
right? So I don't have to read all the rest of that, but I'm just giving a little bit of the outline. Kabbalah, reality, collective consciousness. It's there. It's there. And again,
Bryn,
go ahead, go ahead.
you know what's so like it truly breaks my heart because I just you're so spot on, bro. And I'm coming to this realization those people are never they don't care enough to even to consider this stuff, to even watch this video and to even could I be they don't care. But what this is going to help is someone that does care, who they have a yearning for God and they're trying to seek knowledge. And this is the stuff that's going to help them get understanding because God's working in them. But it breaks my heart for the people that they don't care. I see it every day. All my posts, I post and I post and I show and I show, and they just don't care. They're living their life. You know, they're going their 9 to 5. They're watching Netflix for 5 hours or, you know, whatever, wasting time, and they just don't care. And it hurts me. Like, I don't know what else to do. You know, all I could do is focus on myself and stay close to God. I still try,
Right,
but
right.
it's like, I mean, Brandon, you do such a killer job. Like I see it, like I understand, and it's like they're not going to understand unless they try. Like something calls them, God calls them to search. Man,
That's all it is, dude. And again, the symbolism shows it, and this is why I chuckle, because there's like Baphomet Satan, Hermes, equivalent of Tammuz in the Greek, Thoth, equivalent of Hermes in Egypt, medical symbol, Baphomet's manhood. That symbol, what they say is Christianity. This also connects with the number 8, with death and rebirth.
mm,
Now, these are terms that we have in Christianity, right? Or he sleepeth, or born again. You
yep,
don't think a counterfeit could easily merge into Christianity and without even realizing it, a parasite, like you ate food and the parasite just starts nestling and starts eating and eating you out, and until you fast or until you actually take some sort of thing to detox, that thing
yep,
keeps doing its thing. It's like cancer. And that's the thing as a Christian, is you're constantly trying to cull out that old man or things that are going to be pulling you away. Do people want to do that? No, they don't. And again, medical symbol as well, down here with the staff of Asclepius. This could be the star Remphan as well. Israel's flag. Uh,
wow,
yeah, 6 points.
yep,
Yeah, you can put it right over it. And don't tell me I'm wrong about that, because the World Health Organization was founded literally a month when Israel had its own native country given back to them in 1948, within a month of each other. I kid you not. You can look that up. On top of that, it was 1948, exactly 36 years later, George Orwell's 1984, with the all-seeing eye surveillance state, right? Maybe it's a coincidence when you move around the 48, 84, right? Just 36 years. Another 36 years added to 1984, 2020.
wow.
Everybody said it's just like Orwell, right? I'm just saying. And we then followed having problems over in the Middle East. Yeah, I need to go to bed. I'm just crazy. It's okay. So on April 8th, 1904, Aleister Crowley began channeling the Book of Law for 3 days, and from a being he would later identify as AI was. AI was. He would later summon this entity to be born into a moon child with L. Ron Hubbard, Walt Disney, Jack Parsons, and Werner von Braun. What did we name the first rocket into space? Apollo 11. Apollo sun god 11. Twin Towers.
Mm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So, when Osiris of a man has entered in heaven, his right side belongs to Horus, and the left side to Seth. Doctrine of Eternal Life from the Pyramid of Pepi 1. So again, see the all-seeing eye on the very top of the Caduceus staff in this particular form. You have that sign of Cernuous, remember the sexual union of them coming together. Queen of the Heavens symbol, right? The moon doors opening, you could say. And the thing I found interesting was this symbol. Because when I was editing the other day, I was doing one of our little clips and stuff like that, and I was doing a couple other videos. And the symbol of transition, you took away this thing, and you took away the triangle things outside of it. It was literally this thing right here. Or, I don't know, the 2 points on each end. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was literally the symbol of transition. I was going, wow. I said, I'm going to Google the symbol of transition. And transition symbol was a pyramid.
Wow.
I was alchemy again, right? Triangle. Look, I was, how? Triangle, eye, all-seeing eye. No, you're crazy. I could be.
No way. You're not, bro. I hope you don't feel that way because you're right. You're over it. You always are.
I think the guy was right when I did tinfoil. He says you're kind of like autistic when it comes to this sort of thing. I was like, I was telling that to my buddy Data when we were watching Red One. I was like, there was 400 and something 30 matches. There was something dead. That's what I'm feeling like when I'm watching a movie. Like, because I'm seeing so many things popping up, and I'm like, the average person is just watching it for entertainment. I'm over here going, oh my god! Like I was watching Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, and the guy ran up to the porch, and the number on the house was 323.
Skull and bones.
Well, it was partially that, but it was 323. That was making me think 33 times 2. 66. What's missing? The I, the one, the God particles. 616 is the number of the followers of the beast. Skull and bones 3 times 22. 66. What's missing? The I, the one, the God particle. 911. 9 times 11, 99. Invert that, 66. 9 God particle. I, the one, the A, comes straight down. And I was chuckling because I'm like, it's the littlest thing. And you could say, no, it's not. And again, I looked up, is he a Mason? Did he practice Kabbalah? Again, some things you find, some things you don't. That one seemed kind of vague, but I was like, he was Jewish, so can't tell me some things aren't of influence out there. Because we use dice, right? We use dice all the time.
Yep.
And ironically, these pages pop up, and I'm like, okay. So if you're going by Kabbalah, you got the star of Remphan, and Earth represents the cube when you're rolling the dice. Are dice exactly evil, so you can't even play, Candyland anymore? No. But at the same time, occultic-wise, it has symbolism, right?
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, we could be literally going paranoid to the extreme. You're like, well, I can't even play the game. Sorry, I can't do this. I gotta like, right? Is it an evil game? No, right? You're literally just trying to get your boy from one side of the board to the other to go home. That's it. And you're just rolling the thing to try to see how far you go. Or it's cards in that particular thing. But again, cards connecting with Kabbalah cards and numbers, right? But as we covered before, I'm just doing this briefly because somebody was saying, why is the cross a Kaaba thing? Well, this is from the Gnostic cross, right? And you see here east, north, east, west, and south, news, right? NESWS. But over here, it has above. So why is above way over here? As you close it up, 1, 2, 3, latch the tap down, 4. And you have your Kaaba cube. You have Star Remphan right here, see? A cross, which connects with symbol of the god Tammuz. The cross historically, and more recently, archaeology, show the cross was used as a religious symbol centuries before Christ. The shape of the two-beamed cross had its origins in ancient Chaldea and was used to represent the god Tammuz, the god of goats, Christ's pagan doppelganger. And Christ hangs upon his doppelganger symbol. When you fold it up, it represents earth. The people down here love the things of this earth, Father God, but if they want to accept me, the man, and spiritually the only celestial being that can break the realm, they have a chance to come up here, but they have to deny the things of this earth. So when you say pick up your cross and follow me, I am denying the old man the things of this earth. And I'm literally saying, occultic wise, don't wear this symbol as a thing of pride. Don't, again, a lot of Christians, stop using that as your logo if you could. I would urge you, I would beseech you, because you're worshiping the symbol of death, which represents his doppelganger Tammuz. When you pledge allegiance to the Christian flag, what colors is used? The same as the American, red, white, and blue. The crown heads that were used in Egypt. And it's a symbol of a cross. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag. No, 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 no. And it's on poles. And you usually put it on a podium, usually, right?
Yep.
An altar. Go up to the altar and confess, blah, 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 and, after the message. And I'm over here just thinking to myself, we're still doing it, man. We're still doing it. And we're thinking we're good, and we're crying at the end of a sermon, and, oh, we feel really good. And I'm not saying God can't work through that. What I am stating, though, this is what I'm saying. You'll go to like a Billy Graham thing, and you thought it was the greatest thing ever. The guy was a 33-degree Mason, and he turned away Jews and Muslims and Catholics. You're good where you're at. What? I'm not. I have to submit to God. I don't want to submit to a denomination or where I'm currently at, right? But he didn't promote that. He has a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Why does he have a pentagram on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? He's a pastor, right? A preacher. Why is his symbol with the occult? It's a red flag. So again, everybody, you ever see the chakras, right? Even if you're not a practitioner, you've seen what they look like. This is familiar to you, right?
Yep.
So lead, tin, copper, iron, mercury, silver, and gold. Now, something I'm always chuckling. Remember, was it John and Peter after Christ had ascended? They go to the temple and they had the beggar over there.
Yep.
Some coins, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have I will give. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Rise up and walk. Now, I don't want to do copyright, but what if that is a thing with the hymn? I don't know. It's for Bible stuff. But you follow what I'm saying.
Yep.
It's not about materialism. But if I can give you something that the Holy Spirit has given me, here it is. And he's walking, and he's leaping, he's praising God. He didn't get the lottery of $1 million. He got his ability just to walk, to be a normal human being again. Praise God. Thank you. That little thing means so much more than whatever copper or whatever you could have thrown into my little bucket. Thank you. So anyways, that wasn't what I was going to talk about. All truly dogmatic religions, not faiths, have issued from the Kabbalah and returned to it. Everything scientific and grand in religious dreams of all the Illuminati, the light, right, is borrowed from the Kabbalah. All the Masonic associations owe it to their secrets and their symbols. Albert Pike.
Wow.
Kabbalah. See this? You literally can take this Caduceus staff, put it on the Kabbalah tree of life, which Albert Pike, which Aleister Crowley, Satanists, practitioners of, which the Pharisees were practitioners of. It is the symbol that Christ condemned. This is what you're doing, New Agers. Well, I'm against the occult. I'm against the elite and what they stand for. This is what they stand for.
Preach.
Hermetic Kabbalah tree of life. At the top in Hebrew, it is known as Kether. In Masonic Latin, corona, a spiked crown, what they put on Christ's head, another symbol of mockery, not outward like Attis, Helios, Statue of Liberty, inward. How dare you? And just for saying you're the guy, we're going to mock you because you're not the guy we wanted, imposter.
Mm.
Yeah, it's Baphomet's junk. Literally can put that on the Caduceus. Knights Templars pray to Baphomet X, right? Does Aleister Crowley sign his name? You could put the Ankh. The Ankh, oh no, that's a good symbol. Put that right on top. Because this is from another Enlightenment page on Instagram. Not me. I'm showing you. And the Star of Remphan, again, is shown in the center. The center is Mercury. The Mercury represents the heart. What did Christ say? These people please me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Mercury represents reflection. And I don't mean reflection as in, I'm reflecting on God's words, meditating on God's words, or I'm self-reflecting. There's, or reflection. Trying to find that inner thing within me, achieving that higher vibration. What are you, a dildo? What are you saying, vibration? Oh, what? No. Did you see how stupid it sounds, dude?
Yeah.
He's going to get attuned. Astral projection. Astral star? Star projection? I'm going to be doing another one where you're ready to Remphan, but I'm going to show for New Agers. This is literally, they show the Masonic checkered board below and the person, their body having out-of-body experience, just like Doctor Strange, as they're sending up into the stars. I says, that's the same thing, the Star of Remphan. This is what they were doing, and it was saying, God saying, no, stop it. Stop it. Okay, you want to do this? Go to Babel. Go to Babel. That's fine. People are going to suffer because they're not stopping. They're partaking in what I told them not to do. Again, as I was reading in Hebrews again, would a father not chastise his son out of love? Not beating you and slapping you around, no, just saying I'm chastising you because I want you to be respected in the community. I don't want you to be an idiot. Not that much that he's asking. So again, Hermes and Mercury. As we just saw on the board, what's Mercury and Hermes? They're the same thing, but Greek and Roman. Hermes appears in a number of guises, as befits a god with trickster tendencies. His talents are numerous, his attributes diverse. His Celtic equivalent is the god Lu, probably mispronouncing it, and is referred to by Julius Caesar as the inventor of all arts and crafts. I was immediately thinking of camp days, arts and crafts. He also appears as Thoth, the great Egyptian god who invented writing and was the scribe of the gods. Emerald tablets? Fallen angels? As well as the judge of the human soul and the mediator between man and God. Oh. Hold up. This Mercury Hermes dude, who's an equivalent of Tammuz, Nimrod's son, who you find in Ezekiel chapter 8, he's the mediator between man and God. Father of all perfection is here, as I said, the Emerald Tablet says about his man. And he's the mediator? Soul? S-O-L? Soul? Find the inner soul, God, the son of light in yourself. Oh, no. But do you see the doppelganger right there? Counterfeit. Boom, we found him, Your Honor. Lock him up. In yet another guise, there are parallels with the great angel Metatron.
Metatron.
Where we get metaverse. Meta in Hebrew means death. Tron, Tron Legacy, Tron Universe. You ever watch those movies?
Yep.
The word Mercury shares its roots with Mercator, merchant. What does it say in Revelation 18:23? The voice of the groom and the bridesmaids was heard no longer in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth. and by their pharmakia, snake staff, were the nations deceived. Sorceries, but pharmakia is the Greek. So, okay. Indicating his interest in marketing and trade. What fell on 9/11? The world trade.
Wow.
Okay. The most immediately recognizable symbol that belongs to Hermes is the winged sandals, indicating swift movement. This makes him an effective messenger of the gods. Project Bluebeam. The aliens are here, but don't worry, I negotiate great deals. Can you see it? No
Yeah.
one negotiates better than me.
Oh my God.
Take me to your leader. I mean, come on, it's right there.
Hey, Andy started the Space Force.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Oh my God.
2028, 29. If Apophis happens and that's what happens afterwards, and we get up on the other side, I'm just going to be laughing my butt off saying, I told y'all, but no, Brandon was doing cocaine or something, which I don't do drugs, so I'm already crazy as it is. It's not a good combo. Anyways, originally he moved between Zeus and the gods of the underworld, Persephone and Hades. So was he able to move easily in and out of different worlds, different dimensions, like we just talked, the world of the living and the dead. He is also a god of the dead. Congregation of the dead, I think, was in Proverbs or Psalms. In this guise, as the ibis-headed Thoth, he is also the patron of science and literature, inventions, and wisdom. Now, who gave up his eyes for wisdom? Odin. His trickster skills make Mercury the god of thieves, too. Don't we say that about our government all the time? They're stealing from us with their taxes. Taxes is theft, right? Yeah, this is going back to Babel. This is what they do, extort people. Babel 101. Mercury, the god of thieves, communication of all kinds belongs to this god of the airwaves. His image used, for example, by telecommunication companies. It's so obvious. Cell
It
phone,
is.
prison phone. Come on, guys. The versatile deity also appears as Hermes Trismegistus, the founding father of alchemy. The magical gifts of Hermes Trismegistus brought to humankind includes the divinatory arts as well as music. Music? Music industry? The Great Emerald Tablet, that is the cornerstone of the great work in alchemy, is a riddle written in such a bleak way that has several interpretations. It is said that Mercury brings our attention to great mysteries, but also gives and means to unravel the mysteries, as in the universe, right? In Greek myth, Hermes made the first lyre, the instrument, constructing it from the shell of a tortoise and using guts of a sacrificed bull for strings. He also made the first flute, which he swapped with Apollo for lessons in magic, as well as the golden caduceus, another of his attributes. Now, the 13th month calendar, you ever look at the back of a tortoise shell? It has 13 little ridges on it, right? That's what we used to base it off of, and then he'd put that up there and base it off the zodiac and all that stuff, right? So we're getting, again, it's a mythos, it's a lore. Did you know America was known as Tortoise Island to the Native Americans? And that included Canada and Mexico. Yeah. And it's a symbol affiliated with Hermes. And Trump has a name etymology to this guy, also known as the land of the phoenix or the feathered serpent. And they already had a thing with the phoenix in the parade in Italy with Trump. With Warhammer, whatever. Hold on, Brandon. I'm going to touch more on that. Just putting a bookmark in that for a moment. Janus Many deities from one religious discipline will have counterpart with very similar attributes in another. However, Janus, a Roman god, appears to be unique, although there is a link between him and the Greek god of chaos. Order out of chaos. As the god of doorways, Janus' defining feature is that he has two heads, as well as this distinction. He also carries a key to lock and unlock the doors and gates he guards, and a stick to drive away anyone who has no right to cross the threshold. Now, I'm going to be showing a symbol later. I think I've touched on it before, but the key thing made me go, unlock your god potentials? Because he is the god of gates, Janus is, by extension, ruler of arrivals and departures and of communication. We need to have an exit visa tracking system, biometric tracking system. Trump. What? Do you see it? Modern. He is also god of beginnings and has jurisdiction over the daybreak, effectively allowing the sun to enter through the eastern gate of the sky. At the time before the creation of the universe and all the elements and were formless mass, Janus was called Chaos. After the separation and coming of the order, his name changed to Janus, which he still rules the time of transition. What do we show you with Aleister Crowley and all that stuff with transition? The pyramid.
Wow.
And again, Elements of Encyclopedia, Secret Science and Symbols. Highly endorse the book. I always find it to be a fun read because I'm reading it and I'm over here like, bookmark, highlight, bookmark. You ever listen to Pink Floyd?
I've heard it, yeah.
We don't need no. So my buddy listened to like a knockoff version thing where they're doing cover songs or whatever, and he said the symbolism on the stage would have made my blood curl because he was saying they had a gas station pump with the number 666 at the gas pump. They had like a goat thing come out, giraffe thing that was standing on stilts. I was over here going, dude. He's like, yeah, I know. Brandon would be having a field day right now. But the cover of a lot of Pink Floyd's, you'll notice, is a pyramid with a little rainbow going through it. All right, they're throwing this already out there for us. Why? Well, Osiris, aka Nimrod, was Ra when he was alive. When he died, he ascended to become god of the underworld, right? He ascended. That was his ascended self. In human form, he came back to us as Tammuz. This is what they believe. Etymology of an ancient Egyptian god. Os, meaning God, and open. Iris, being the ancient Greek meaning of rainbow. Interesting. Here, again, so every person who sees a rainbow, they see different colors. Iris, eye, you all see different things. Maybe there's something there. Here, then, Osiris, right? So the god rainbow, the open rainbow, may be looked upon as the god of light, synonymous with Jesus, Amen, or Amon, which is an Egyptian god. Amon's sign is the Great Pyramid. Angle of incline, the 42 degrees of the fundamental, in creating or perceiving a rainbow. Osiris was dismembered into 42 pieces. The angle between a ray of light coming in and exiting at the prism of 42 degrees. It is said that when I think it was Seth, the story's a little bit murky. Mercury is a little bit murky. That somebody came along and they basically tore Nimrod to shreds. Part of his blood fell upon the conifer tree, as we've covered before, and the rest was scattered to the winds. But somehow they accumulated enough of his parts, allegedly, brought it back together. But apparently whoever had a beef with Nimrod was like, we're taking you apart and you're never getting back together ever. So something happened. What I found interesting, again, tying it in with Odin, so far we have 29 runes, right? In the Northumbrian meanings, 5 runes have been known in AD 800. The Northumbrian meanings are rarely used. When we get down to Odin over here, not sure if you can see on the screen, it means the element of air, It also means the element of ash. Mouth, speech, and primal sound of existence. Okay. So I was finding that interesting because the god of communication. That's that. Primal sound of existence. But then ash. I was thinking of a phoenix. What does a phoenix do? Rises from the ashes. Now here's where it gets fun. X. Osiris rises. Follow where I'm going with this. Os and Oz. Oh, and then remember when I say you as opposed to the J word, we're saying you because we're talking about a conifer yew tree and their symbol, the tree of life. A yew tree represents all, and it also represents Odin.
Wow.
Who gave up his eye for wisdom.
Wow.
So the Wizard of Oz and Oz. Oz means gold, right? So we're told, the Wizard of Oz. Come to see the wizard. So if gold is basically what do we get? Oz and Oz, when we put the two together, we get gold, right? Oz is gold. Ash, it means God. It also means open. And what do you do with gold when you're trying to accumulate it? They think that they can turn mercury into gold, right? Follow the yellow brick. Similar to death, the phoenix, ascension, and realms. We're not done yet. Wait till I show you about the author's name. It gets crazy, dude. I stumbled on that actually today when I was finishing up. I said, well, that's fun. So I need to read this because it's connecting with the Tannenbaum. So the Christmas tree, pagan customs of bringing a living tree indoors in the middle of the night, the winter years, and decorating with candles and trinkets was introduced to Britain by Prince Albert, the husband of Queen Victoria. The idea rapidly caught on, bringing evergreen vegetation in the form of trees, boughs, and branches from the outside to the inside was a magical ritual. Now, it was on the 12th day of Christmas when these would be taken down. 12th day would equal January 6th. Sure, that's a coincidence. The Christmas tree is traditionally an evergreen tree, usually a spruce or a fir, which is cut down from the forest. The tree itself symbolizes immortality and everlasting life, just like with Odin. Regenerating, just like with Tammuz, the god affiliated with regeneration. Reminder, the lights are draped on it with the reminder the darkest times of the year, with the lighter days are just around the corner. The Yule celebration connected with Odin in Northern Europe was echoed in similar rituals in Southern Europe. Don't just stop with Martin Luther, Christians. Keep going. The Roman god Attis, who has a spiked crown like Helios, equivalent of Tammuz, or Attis, a savior god whose life story very much parallels that of Christ. Attis was born on December 25th to a virgin mother and was sacrificed to save mankind, but killed beneath a conifer yew tree, remaining for 3 days and nights in his tomb before resurrection. His priests, called the Dendrophori, meaning the tree bearers, were charged with selecting a conifer from a sacred grove that would be brought indoors in the memory and death and resurrection of Attis, who is also linked with Apollo, the sun god.
Wow.
Groves unto Ashtaroth and Baal. Baal, he worshipped him in the high places with the black rock, connecting with Tammuz in the Catholic Church. There, folks, I've done it other episodes. For his presence and power to reign supreme, phallic symbols and fire should be lit to honor him. The supposed child of this union was Horus, equivalent of Tammuz, the reincarnate of Nimrod. Semiramis, the mother, wife, claimed a full-grown evergreen tree sprang out of the roots of the dead tree stump. This symbolized the springing forth of new life for Nimrod. On the anniversary of Nimrod's birth, allegedly, December 25th, could be Tammuz. She said that Nimrod would visit the evergreen tree and leave gifts under it. This is the genesis of the Christmas tree, the symbol of Nimrod. This equates to approximately 9 months after Easter, or the date Ishtar became pregnant with Tammuz. What did I tell you about 2029? It's on April Fool's Day. When did
Yeah.
they film the Apollo moon landing? April 1, 1969.
Wow.
69 again, like I said, Trump's ear being shot. Nine was reported at 6/11, 9/11. But when you look over the arch dome, when they do connect the two pillars of Freemasonry, they'll have the symbol of Cancer, the month he got shot in July, over it. 69.
Wow.
And I was going on 4/1/69. So you literally filmed it on April Fool's Day. And I guess I have the clapboard, as I've shown you before. I'm going. It's connected with Apollo, a sun god. Why did we name it Apollo? Why was that? And then, what do we name the second rocket?
Oh, what was it? I forgot.
I'm trying to blank at the moment too. It was Apollo?
Gemini, was it?
No.
No.
Aphrodite? No. Whatever. But that one was the equivalent of the goddess of death and sudden death. Sorry, sudden death specifically. Second rocket. Look it up, folks. I was just going, that's weird. Apollo, 9/11, sudden death. We just had thing. We haven't been able to go back up there in the last 60 years because we lost the technology. Sure. But all the equivalents you can find here of Semiramis is Aphrodite. Artemis, that was it. Artemis. I should have
Artemis.
Artemis.
Yes.
Yeah, Artemis was known as the goddess of sudden death. Athena, Astaroth, Astarte, Diana, Ishtar, Juno, Venus, fill in the blank. Whole lot. Thor, coming from the state of Horus. Nimrod has all of them. Bacchus, Dionysus, Gilgamesh, Jupiter, Marduk, Moloch, Nebron. Then Tammuz, known as Adonis, where Donald comes from. Attis, Apollo, Helios, Mithras, Roman Catholic baby Jesus, Mithra, Ninus, and Shamash, and Sol Invictus. And you constantly see it across several statues and cultures, and what we have today, the Virgin Mary. The Nimrod's son always sucks at the teat of the whore of Babylon, which we know as the Catholic Church, right?
Yep.
So this would be America. American ideologies are like Tammuz, always sucking at the teat of the whore of Babylon. So, like I said, Tannenbaum Trump. This is where it gets really interesting with the trees. So tannin means fir tree. Comes from tannin, a substance found in plants, conifers, used with the late tanning of leather. Yew, a coniferous yew tree with red berry-like fruits. It's a tree. We're not going after ethnicities, we're going after ideologies. Hermes, and again, this is a Masonic page. Brother Wilmhurst also agrees that the name Hiram is identical with Hermes, and thinks that there is a connection that can be traced between the form Hiram and the Sanskrit word guru, which means spiritual teacher. He therefore takes Hiram Abiff to signify the father teacher or the teacher from the father. Now, what did Christ say? Call no man father, call no man rabbi, call no man master. Catholics, Masons, Pharisees, get out of here. The Masonic Initiate, page 100. That Hiram was a widow's son, right? That that it was a real son is also a significant fact. Horus, as the child of Isis, was the reincarnation of his father Osiris, Nimrod, and so as the posthumous child might well be described as a widow's son. Ma's son, May's son, widow's son. Though the tribe of Naphtali, he was born and resided in Tyre. Woe unto Tyre and Sidon. And may well therefore have learned from the Dionysian fraternity, which had a center there. Dionysus, aka Nimrod, was half-brother to Apollo. Nimrod did his own mom, so that checks out. Why is that significant? Back to the Future. Back to the Future was based on Nimrod. Oh, my mom's attracted to me. Go into the second movie. Clock Tower, Horus, Hour. When Marty's coming back down the street, and when you see the red streaks of the, what was the car he was driving?
The DeLorean.
DeLorean. He's got the 211, and then when you look to the left of that, there was a 9. 9/11.
Wow.
Where have you been, Marty? I've been in the future, Doc. Now, Robert Zemeckis, or whatever his freaking name is, he did a movie called The Wire several, 20, 30 years later. And it was about a guy walking between the Twin Towers on a tightrope based on a real incident that happened. The outfit he was wearing was the same as Marty McFly in the movie.
No way.
That's way. And it was called Twin Peaks. When he went in there, Twin Peaks 9/11. When he's hanging upside down, you can see the World Trade Centers, but when the way they're filming it, it looks like it's almost falling. It's like, okay. And again, what is the plot? I think the second movie, the terrorists, random terrorists from the Middle East is the plot in the 80s.
Right.
But Biff Tannen was based on Donald Trump, according to the writers. And you can go any preference you want on Google. I'll let you decide that. Don't say I'm just being. No, you go it. So Biff Tannen, Hiram Abiff, and Tannen. We are literally getting Hiram is an equivalent of Hermes, according to a Mason guy here, connecting with the guy that built the second temple. They're wanting Trump for a third. He built the second temple with what? Bringing down the trees, the cedar trees from Lebanon, right? Biff, Hiram Abiff, Tannen, yew tree, connecting it with Christmas tree. What does it represent? Everlasting life and immortality. All things replacing God. Tannenbaum. Guess what its etymology means? It comes from the Ashkenazi. You know it. The word bomb has bomb, B-A-U-M, has multiple meanings, including in German word for tree, a Jewish name from the Ashkenazi, is a surname, an artificial name for a shortened version of another surname that ends with the word bomb. For example, Feigenbaum, which means fig tree, Mandelbaum, which means almond tree, so fill in the blank. But the author of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, Lyman Frank Baum, was a U.S. author who wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz in 1900 and its sequels.
Wow.
Oz, Osiris, Baum. Whether it's a coincidence, I was just going, okay, that's weird. So, giving a little context to the trees in the second building of the temple. Because when I was talking about the giants, right, and druids, they used to get spirits from these things. Let's read this. So, in the same way that oak groves were sacred to the ancient Greece and throughout Britain, so too were the cedar groves sacred to the native locations in the Middle East and Northern Africa, where similar oracular rites were carried out. The Epic of Gilgamesh, equivalent of Nimrod, describes cedar woods as being the dwelling place of the gods. The Nephilim, right? They used to hang out with the trees, according to Rob Skiba, and in the Bible. Long-lived, large, dark-hued, and imposing, the cedar, particularly the stately cedar of Lebanon, is clearly identifiable with a large symbol of longevity and nobility. The wood of the cedar is tough and durable, making the tree synonymous with the qualities of incorruptibility and purity. Its timber was used in building the temple in Jerusalem. Like all evergreens, the cedar is emblematic of immortality. It is one of the trees in which the conjectured was used in the cross used on Christ's crucifixion. Christ sharing the incorruptibility of the purity of the tree. Paradoxically, the original forest was used to cloak Mount Lebanon has now been reduced to a handful of scattered remnants. Cedar wood has a particularly fragrant scent, which is used in incenses, and it is likewise burned on Jewish people to mark the new year. Wow. And what did I tell you? 12th day of Christmas, January 6th. And they have how many days of Hanukkah? So as you're telling me, Yuletide, burning cedar tree, equivalence, traveling, little variations, but always a similar story. What is the mythology of the cedars of Lebanon? The cedar forest was a divine, shady forest that was fought over by demigods and humans. It said that the cedars were protected by the Mesopotamian gods. Which gave rise to another name for the trees, the cedars of God. It is also said that Gilgamesh, Nimrod, himself used cedar wood in building his great city. What did I tell you before? If you could help me build a tower to Babel. Going back, Epic of Gilgamesh, he experiences the flood. He doesn't actually die in it, right? But being affiliated with the temple and perhaps some of the trees that they got for crucifixions. His heel shall bruise thy head, where allegedly they buried Goliath's skull. Golgotha. I don't know, but it was making me really going. Hiram Abiff was the guy that helped King Solomon build this stuff, and he brought down the trees from the Lebanon to build the temple. So just, I don't know. And now you're getting a guy that says, I will build me a house for him in Jerusalem. So I will tear off your veils. Ezekiel 13:21. Revelation is the lifting of the veil. Simply invert the American flag, and the stars become Baphomet's head as well. Signs and symbols. Do you see this little thing of the Vatican we got here?
Yep.
It's Baphomet's head. And it's a key. What did we just read? About Janus and keys and doorways? And what was the Vatican opening up?
Wow.
Oh, yeah, we're connecting that to this. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Nimrod is male. Semiramis is moon. So, Queen of the Heavens. Solar eclipse, which we just had on April 8th. What was Aleister Crowley doing on April 8th? He was scribing how to do the moon child. And who is it that affiliated himself with the sun and solar eclipse with the Batman logo on April 8th of last year?
Who is that?
Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah, he did do the Batman sign.
Yeah. That's kind of weird. And again, pine cones are affiliated with this whole thing because it comes from the conifer yew trees.
Wow.
This is what Manly P. Hall said. When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. Revelation, lifting of the veil. And this is an occultist. When you learn how to read Kabbalah, you will understand the Ukraine crest, the Moloch thing, the Khazarian.
Look at that. Wow.
Now, again, well, it's named after King David. Well, look what they're doing here. They're putting Aaron, Moses, John, Psalm 48. They're inverting. This is Kabbalah. You're taking God's word, and then you're mixing it with bad guy stuff over here. That's what Satan's trying to do. I can't create like Creator God, so let's try to harness the alchemy aspects of how he creates things and do it ourselves and become our own gods. We don't really need him. He already gave us the blueprint. We just need to get him out of the picture. Do you see it? And cut down, cookie cutter basic. That is exactly what they're doing. And we see the depravity of what they're doing on a cultural, international scale. So, Katy Perry, salute to you, girl. I feel bad for you, but you gave me a good tattoo. So the chakra crown represents Jupiter. The Saturn third eye represents the chakra. For the third eye. The throat is Mercury, god of communication, speak. Okay. Heart chakra is the moon. Remember? Again, I was kind of chuckling. Synagogue of Satan, sin, used to be the root word for Allah for a lot of Muslims, and for something sarashin, sin. It was, and sin in Greek means to miss the mark. These people's hearts are far from me because they're making groves unto Ashtaroth. Heart chakra, come on. The solar plexus chakra, sun. The sacral chakra, Venus. And the root chakra, Mars. Root chakra. Now, I'm going to be showing a visual. But who wants to be the god emperor of Mars?
Trump.
Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, Elon.
Now, what was it? What's the Nebuchadnezzar statue?
That's right.
Empire of Iron and Clay. He wants to be the guy that merges us all. We're all like, oh, Bill Gates, Bill Gates. No, Mr. Musk, Mr. Baphomet X. He wants to be the guy that leads us to Mars. And as Werner von Braun, who helped bring about the Antichrist figure Moonchild, 1952, wrote a book, Project Mars, where he imagined the colonists on Mars would then lead all persons given to them by the title of Elon. Before his death, von Braun warned of coming depiction that involved a fake threat from above. I think it's time for you to research the firmament and von Braun's tombstone. The heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament his handiwork. So, that was 1952. But then Katy Perry, what is she showing us with the Saturn? Looks just like the all-seeing eye, right? And we have over here confirmation that the third eye, all-seeing eye, connects with Saturn, right? And the all-seeing eye is the top of the pyramid. Now, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
What, the tattoo you saying?
The tattoo, the eye,
Yeah.
chakra, third eye. You saw. I'm just making sure. No confusion. I couldn't possibly. No, I'm showing you exactly. This is from, chakra page. I'm showing you her tattoo. I just shown you Saturn and eye, right? It's the same thing, guys. Don't get freaked out. I'm showing that for demonstrational purposes. I literally had somebody getting all freaked out. So now, the world ahead of 2025. What do we have at the very top?
Saturn.
In the year of the snake. Deuce of staff with the snake staff. Now we have And what's the next thing that we see? Well, we have, Ying Shang Pi Pooh Bear over here. And then we have the all-seeing eye. And who is this aligned with?
Trump's the...
Okay. That is weird. But again, on the Abrahamic Accords, what's at the very top?
Saturn.
All-seeing eye, a peaceful dove, a rocket going into space, Apollo, going to breach the dome. See the dome? You have a satellite. You have X for jib jabs. I'm trying to censor that one because last time they tried to get me for it. Caught myself. And then you have, digital? Circus board here. You got the heart control, right? They want to control your heart and mind. They also want to control your life. Tree of life is on here. Represented here. Terrestrial technology. The barometric control. We need an extra vita project. Yeah, okay. I think we got confirmation here. Saturn, Lucifer at the very top. You are the 01. 5G surveillance is represented over here. Art, medical monitoring, then transhumanism. Yeah. The beast. Merging of empire and clay with Saturn at the top. All-seeing eye. And whose name is here? Written in cursive? Donald John Trump.
Wow.
AA. Now, if we're going by numbers, A equals
1.
and A equals
1.
11. Apollo, 11. A, 11. 3 A's, triple A. Now we have Abrahamic Accords. 1, 1, 11.
Wow.
I am autistic.
Hey, honestly, this is one of those episodes I'm gonna have to rewatch because it's
I
like
get that all the time, bro.
like that's why I asked if you do have something to take a break, like because I could see how your mind works, and me trying to like stay with it, like my mind's starting to hurt. I'm like, I hope he's taking some breaks to like relax and decompress, because man, I can't believe you can see all this stuff. I mean, it's truly a gift from God that you could see all this. And
It's the hidden manna, Revelation 2:17, dude, because there is no way that I'd be able to do this unless there was already, no, again, I had the bad guys in my ancestry. But what does God always do? He brings up somebody that's, like, I like to think of myself as good, but I'm not saying perfect as good as in I'm trying to follow in the righteous way. And what am I doing? If people invested, imagine what the power of the ecclesia could be, because then you're not freaked out, because I'm not teaching New Ageism. I'm not
yeah,
teaching you to walk away from God. I'm giving you context and clarity, and I'm literally revealing the world to you. You're like, oh, you're just paranoid. I voted for Trump twice, exact quote. And I wrote it several times because I thought it was really freaking good. I voted for Trump because I wanted a Rottweiler in the junkyard and not another poodle.
yeah.
End quote. Twice. So why is it all of a sudden the third time I say no, and you're all looking at me saying you're anti-American? You voted for Biden. No, you voted for the baby killer, or you voted for blah, 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 blah. No, I learned how to read. I see symbolism, and I understand the Bible a little bit better now. Again, not better than everybody else. I'm saying better because I understand what you're going up against. I understand the symbolism there.
Mm.
So I understand my modern world a lot better because I understand the symbolism and the mockery that's blatantly there because it's sign language.
Yep.
So again, Mercury, Hermes. I found it interesting because you see over here, symbol of Mercury is the same as the transgender symbol.
Wow.
Just added a little, again, you can always add dit, now whatever.
Yep.
It was based off of the Talmud where we get 8 different genders. When I shared that from the guy that posted it, he was Jewish, and he was a guy from that group. It was fine for him to post it, but when I shared it, they said that was hate speech, whatever. And I was like, I'm literally sharing it from his own page, and they kept up his post. But when I shared it, no. Why? I'm literally saying this is the source. That's a problem. Why? So again, the month of Tammuz is June. Juno, end of May, that's the month of Juno Monetarie, or whatever it is, money. So if we have a financial crash, I would not be surprised if it's going to be in the late month of May or June, because that is money, coinage affiliated with Mercury and Tammuz, Nimrod's sun, coinage or entry. You see the pride flag? Invert it. It is your chakras.
Yep.
The only thing that's missing is heart. Why? You're being deceived in your own mind, and your heart is far from me. That is literally what that's stating.
Mm.
When you actually, I just saw this one the other day. You know what was freaking me out? You know when they wrap up a baby, newborn,
Yep.
light pink, light blue, and the white? That's what I'm attracted to little kids flag.
No shit.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But dude, it's like, I didn't even see that one. But then when somebody points it out, you're just like, yeah, get your hands
The,
off my kid.
the thing is, and not like when nothing shocks me anymore. You know what I mean?
You're just,
Like I just seen a thing when Macaulay Culkin was on Rogan talking about, yeah, I made it through when I was a child actor, but I walked away with money.
yeah.
Basically saying, yeah, I got raped and stuff, but I got money. And then he had that band where they sang about pizza, and it's just like normies don't want to, they just don't want to see it. They don't care. Like, no matter what you show it, how elegant you explain it, show them all the proof,
Right.
they just don't want to. They don't want to see it. It's like, how could you not care what's going on with these poor children? And they're all doing it, the politicians, the musicians, the actors, all the world leaders. And it's like they don't care. I just don't understand. I
They
don't.
want to know. They want to believe that some savior figure is going to do it for them. And this is constantly why God is over here saying, stop getting them to be reliant on an intermediator between me and you.
Yeah.
Samuel, they didn't betray you. They betrayed me. I
Mm.
literally said, break it down for them. I want them to know what they're getting themselves into. We still want a king over us. Okay, fine. I'm not for it, but to tolerate your stupid, childish behavior, give them their stupid king. It's not what he wants, folks. He never wanted that. Never, never, never. And again, chakras, as above, so below, coming together, sun and moon strands, Cernuous again. Why you put a star atop of the Christmas tree? They show us all the time.
I just gotta put my charger on. Sorry.
Oh, sure, sure. So I was talking about the empire. Actually, I'll wait. I really hate this cough, dude. So I was talking, remember I said the empire of iron and clay?
Yep.
That's the thing that God comes and destroys. Now, their savior figure is known as Melkut, or Leviathan, or the second Cyrus. Now, we already had Corona, which I've explained in Masonic Latin is crown, but you have the Kether, golden age of Babel, silver, remember gold, silver and gold halfway, right? Copper, bronze, diamonds. It's literally the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. Gold, silver, bronze, copper. And then we get down to the Empire of Iron and Clay. Malkuth, Baphomet, X, Mars, root chakra, the roots. They don't last. They don't get implanted. Why? Because the Christ, the rock, comes over and destroys the Empire of Iron and Clay. But this is what they want. Can you see it? And it's Daniel chapter 2, verses 31 and 35 when they had that vision. And again, all elements tracing into Babel, right? They're all different empires, but what do they all have in common? They all trace back to the original son of perdition, Nimrod's son, Tammuz. Satan's figure. And again, I'm saying that as in try to understand what I'm implying. Is his ideologies is the root of Freemasonry. It is New Ageism. New Ageism is Freemasonry. It is the Catholic Church. It is Mithraism. It is chakra. It is Kundalini. It is Kabbalah for the Z's over there. This is why our politicians, the Uniparty, Y-E-W Uniparty, this is why they all unanimously support Ukraine. And this is why they all support the chosen people Holy Land, the Holy Land. You ever notice the Greater Israel patch on their arm? That's roughly Nimrod's empire when he came down from the plains of Shinar. And he built all those cities. They're trying to create it again between the Euphrates and the Nile. That's who you're fighting for, the kingdoms of this world. So Jack Parsons, now to tie it back to the beginning, Jack Parsons co-founded NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, conducted rocket tests, and invented solid rocket fuel in the 1930s. Years later, NASA used versions of this fuel for the first space missions. Thus, without Jack, the moon landing may not have happened, as we were told. Yet Jack was also a dark occultist and close disciple of Aleister Crowley. Jack joined Crowley's secret cult, Order Templi Orientis, which focused on the thelema, ritual sex magic, and manifests one's will. Thus, Jack mixed occultism and science in his work. He would chant hymns to Pan, the goat god, before rocket tests. He tried to rely on black magic to help him with his new rocket scientific discoveries. Now, Pan, who did we say that was? That's Nimrod's son, Tammuz. Who happens to have a variation of this goat shepherd god? This moon child that you're trying to create? Donald Trump's parents were Frederick Christ and Mary Ann Christ. The Babylon working was a series of magic ceremonies of rituals performed from January 10th to March 1946 by author, pioneer rocket fuel scientist, and cultist Jack Parsons and Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. The ritual was essentially designated to manifest, aka Solve, Baphomet's arm, an incarnation of the archetypical divine feminine called Babylon. The project was based on the ideas of Aleister Crowley and his description of a similar project in his 1917 novel, Moonchild. Interesting. L. Ron Hubbard was involved in the ritual magic of Aleister Crowley and founded the Abbey of Thelema on the island of Cefalù. Hubbard joined the Rosicrucian Christian Master Mason order, ancient and mystical order of the Rosicruces in 1940, completing the first two neophyte degrees. While some critics argue that Crowley's magic lies at the heart of Scientology, most scholars have dismissed any connection between the church and occultism. Hubbard became Parsons' great ally in scientists' quest for the incarnate goddess Babylon on Earth, who would eventually give birth to the Antichrist. Parsons' home in Pasadena, dubbed the parsonage, operated as the temple of the Order Templi Orientis. So, Mystery Babylon the Great. They're trying to create this figure for Earth. What did I tell you before about the cube? The folded up cross? This figure was born in what country? Not Syria. He's not of Jewish ethnicity. He's in America. And again, showed all this before, but Baphomet's junk. I'm just showing Christmas tree decoration, groves on Dashroth and Bale. Jeremiah 10:1-5. You see it in Egypt. You see it in Babylon, and it represents immortality and everlasting life. You can put a cross on top of this. You can put the star Remphan. You could put the Masonic square and compass. You can put the sigil of Baphomet. Put the Kaaba cube. Doesn't matter. You do as thou wilt.
Wow.
Again, Neptune for the crown. The three-pointed spear. Moloch's head. It could be several variations, but we had Corona, spike crown. We just had the solar eclipse, right? We had some kind of blood moon last year. So now where are we? We're on Earth. We're on Malkuth. And what did we just start? The year of the snake. Since we already had 3 of those last year, and Cancer was when he got his ear clipped, right? 6/9, 6/11, 9/11. Anointing of the priest when you get your ear clipped. There's blood on your hand, blood on your foot. Yeah. I think we're really close, dude. I think we're really close, and people don't want to see it. They don't want to talk about it. Kabbalah, Go ahead.
I feel it. I feel like we're close. I felt it really bad today. Like so much. Like I felt that. Like I said, that urge. Like I was posting because I just felt it so much. Like, dude, we are in the end, very end, dude. I know it. I feel it. That's all I could say, dude. It's crazy.
Well, it was funny. I think I told you the Terminator thing. But 2029 was when the thing went off. I was like, hmm, hmm. But again, fire, water, air with a dash through a triangle, and then earth pointing downward triangle. And this is as above, so below pose. Now this is the magician on the tarot card. White tunic, red sash, just like the Christ that they depict for us. The Ouroboros logo. This is transitions, another symbol for it. You had Nimrod, Tammuz, and have the bookend. You have Tammuz, then Nimrod. Everybody's saying it's barren, it's barren, it's barren. Right. They want to give it over to Baron, but first they have to have their Tammuz before they can do that. But what does Matthew tell us? If the to paraphrase, didn't say empire and iron and clay, but adding Daniel to it, to paraphrase onto it, if the end was not cut short, and I'm filling this in, empire of iron and clay, no human flesh on the earth would survive. So he cuts it short, right? So if he pulls out his saints, or he lets the two witnesses, die, in essence, right? And again, around the month of April, around the month of his resurrection, and then he would call home the saints, if he does activate the saints as the two witnesses, some of them, not all of them, some of them, and make war against the antichrist, and they're able to cause fire and plagues and all that stuff. Spirit of Elijah, baby, right before the groom returns, right? Right before the groom returns, and it was almost 2,000 years. A day's as 1,000 years, 1,000 years is as a day. Say Christ showed up on the 4,000 year mark. Shows, and then the period of usurin is that the groom would return within a year or two after he built the mansion or whatever that added onto his father's house to induct in the new bride. So if he leeches the Elijah spirit one last time, right? Because before it was John the Baptist, so now you have the two witnesses. Say that's Christians. And for 1,200 something days, we do that. We end up being taken up in the air, right? They're cheering because they're dead for 3.5 days, right? You didn't like them, this vision. You didn't like this dream. You were ruining it for all of us. They die, then they're taken up into heaven. And for the last 3.5 years, you get exactly what you wanted. Terrifying. But again, this is Aleister Crowley's tarot deck. It's the Ouroboros, again, sun and moon. They're saying that's Semiramis and Nimrod mirroring each other. So, Kabbalistic Tarot, another book that popped up on my thing. Just showing for visual. Hermetic Kabbalah Tree of Life. Look over here, Saturn's at the top, Moon is at the bottom. You read a whole bunch of this stuff, but I'm looking for the highlight. I saw one. The Hermetic Kabbalistic Deceptions, Hermetic Kabbalah of the Golden Dawn, the Tree of Life, the Four Worlds, Kabbalistic Symbolism. And one of these, they had something talking about the Matrix, and that made me immediately go, huh. So you have the Fool, you have the Chariots talking about the Kabbalah cards or tarot cards, 32 paths of wisdom. What does Christ say? I am the way, the truth, and the life. There's no 32 paths. Get out of here. Divination, that is condemned in the Bible. So as we understand it today, just this little part, Kabbalah means a tradition or that which is received. It also means a very specific system of metaphysics. But at early centuries, Kabbalah had a more general meaning of the law. It could mean an oral law or that of the law of Moses in the first 5 books of the Bible, the Torah, called the Pentateuch in Greek. It was not until the 12th century that the term assembled today as to its precise meaning. What did he say? You're doers of the law, but you're not really following me, right? Because if you were in the word and you were in the truth, you would know who I am.
Yep.
So here's something else I found interesting, because we were just talking about Trump and the 10 kingdoms. Malkuth kingdom, the tens. Okay. That's interesting. I'm sure it's biblical up in here, right? Right? So anyways, this is just the back of the book. I don't have to go on too much about that. But Kabbalah and Kundalini, yes, they do connect. Don't say they don't. I've shown visuals they do. The Kabbalah is a doctrine found of the holy serpent that resides within the tree of life. The serpent is the guide for each you, tree worshiper, and collectively leads the Jewish nation from the abyss upward into godhood. Can ascend. Inside the circles are the names of Kabbalistic deities used, often pray to, and have mental holy sex with Judaic gods and goddesses. Go over here with Carl Jung, one of the guys that does psychology, right? To activate the unconscious means to awaken the divine, the devil, Kundalini, to begin the development of the superpersonal within the individual in order to kindle the light of the gods. Kundalini, which is said to be the awakened and sleeping of the Malahara world, is superpersonal, the non-ego. For this reason, Kundalini is the same principle as the Soter, the savior serpent of the Gnostics. I'm out. The non-ego? It is all about ego because you're looking within.
Yep.
Oh, humble yourself and you will find your inner self. Smells like gas. That's what it smells like. So the third eye, courtyard, pine cone. Just read this brief thing because we cover this. At the Vatican's courtyard stands a colossal bronze pine cone. Fur over here. The pine cone symbolizes the pineal gland, the area of the brain associated with the sixth sense. Wasn't there a movie on that? The paranormal and the spirituality. Thus, the pine cone alludes to Adam and Eve's third eye being opened by Lucifer. Ew. In ancient Egyptian art, the god Osiris is often depicted holding a staff with a pine cone figurine, equivalent of Nimrod. Likewise, the Pope's satanic bent crucifix has a pine cone mounted on it. Besides the pine cone, the courtyard also displays peacocks, a symbol of Lucifer, 2 lions, symbolic of Cybele and Isis, and the Egyptian sarcophagus, a hint of Osiris, and even face the mighty hunter Nimrod. So you're telling me Lucifer enlightened Adam and Eve by showing them their inner rainbow, the chakra? Okay. And notice what we get over here, the DMT, the myth of Osiris. This is the same thing for Negro.
No way.
And what did they do? They sacrificed their kids unto Ashtaroth and Baal. As above, so below. You're sacrificing your kid. Why? Because just like God, I'm going to give a part of myself, which is my son, the word. I'm going to give a kid too. Whoa, that's big stakes you're putting on the table. Yeah, I know. I was there when it was written, which don't recite the dark magic to me, as we hear in Narnia, right? I know how the game's played. You guys want to get rid of your kid? You want to put blood on the table? You're going to sacrifice firstborn kids because you think getting rid of your kid is going to help you ascend into the afterlife, right? Somehow you get this Nimrod. No. Regeneration, reincarnation. And this is why I say Christ boomerang usurped any titles to former gods of this realm because he conquered death. They have yet to prove that it's the same person regenerated. It's just what you want it to believe. So again, the Pope, context, is opening up the sacred portals up to January 5th, right before the new year, which is January 6th. And the last of the doors to be opened at a prison on December 26th on 2024. A prison? Okay. Now, in the month of Janus, in one side, we have the Egyptian version, which is going to be the goat, and then Osiris, right? Pan, Tammuz, Nimrod. Same thing. Tammuz, Nimrod. Or vice versa, because they're one and the same. They were reincarnated, so it's the same guy, just a different face. That's what that represents. And this is how they opened up all the portals. This is all the key points. It's the Sigil of Lucifer. You might recognize it as your Google Play or the Seal of Satan. The Sigil of Lucifer appears as a chalice, which represents the creation, the fertile darkness awaiting for the ready, untold possibilities. Purpose of it is of the instrument of the visual invocation during ritual. By performing the appropriate ritual, the sigil acts as the gateway to invoke and bestow the power and presence of Lucifer.
Wow.
What did we just say? We're in the year of the snake. The last door opened on January 5th, right before the start of the year of the snake.
Wow.
I'm crazy because all these things culminate together on the start of a guy whose administration is coming in to fruition, and he's having a parade the day before his inauguration on 1/19. Invert that, 9/11.
Wow.
again. Coronation day for Antichrist. So, just for kicks and giggles, I said, okay, Sigil of Lucifer, S-O-L, Sol, right? We're worshiping Sol Invictus. Statue of Liberty, S-O-L. How far apart are these two things? Did the math. It is 4,279 miles away from each other. Weird, because when you add 4 plus 2, or 2, and then you add, so you get 4, 2, you get 6, 7 plus 9, you get 616
Wow.
of the beast. Helios, east to west. And we're doing this on Christmas for Sol Invictus.
Wow.
Lucifer, Antichrist. Lucifer, Antichrist. Whore of Babylon, Tammuz, who sucks at the teat of the whore of Babylon. 666 is the number of the... So, research and find that Sol, Statue of Liberty, is depicting both the sun god and the queen of the heavens goddess. Rome had Sol Indigus, then Sol Invictus, then Apollo as sun gods. Solar, sun, when nothing, several pagan gods being connected to the soul. Statue as historical fact. Note various sun worship rituals also being performed during the Olympics, the 33rd this year, when an actual sun worshiper ceremony is being broadcasted from Mount Olympus. As sports get dedicated to the gods of Olympus, when a high priestess alongside the priestesses calls the sun god Apollo for a flame from the sun to light the torch, Statue of Liberty, which gets passed from city to city of hosting country, enlightening the world. Was it getting host in 2028? America. In what city? Los Angeles, the city of angels. I don't think they're the angels up there. So, blah, 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 blah. We can skip all that. But Libertas, Lady Liberty. I think that's the highlights there. Again, this is the Vatican news. From the very beginning, Christians celebrated what the Lord Jesus accomplished for the salvation of humanity. Blah, 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 blah. At the beginning of the 4th century, the liturgical calendar began to evolve, giving the value to the historical Jesus as well. Good Friday was added to recall Jesus' death and the Last Supper. In that trajectory, the nativity, the birth of Jesus, was added. The first evidence dates back to 336. Soon after, in the Eastern Church, the Christmas feast of the Epiphany began and celebrated on the 6th of January. Significance, first of the new year. Epiphany they're referring to, Epiphany of John the Baptist. What was that? Is when the day that Christ was baptized by John the Baptist, and allegedly, as a lesson, was visited by the Magi. The root word for Magi? MAGA. Weird. The date was connected to the civil pagan festival of the birth of the invincible sun, Natali Solis Invicti, introduced by the Emperor Aurelian in 274 in honor of the Syrian sun god of Emesa, celebrated on the 25th of December. Christmas is only liturgical celebration of the 4 masses. The Vatican is telling you where it comes from. The Vatican. Sol, this guy, spiked crown guy, Helios, Attis. But we already said the tree represents him, and an equivalent of Apollo. Corona means spiked crown. You can look that up. Hoopa. Mithras, the god of contracts, oaths, light, and the sun. Did you know that the Bank of England was built on the top of an ancient pagan temple dedicated to Mithras, the god of contracts, oaths, and light? Interesting, because the first banks were started by the Knights Templars. They worship Baphomet, right? From Mithraism to Freemasonry, a history of ideas. Temple Lodge number 33, done in BC. Mithraism, Masonry, and the Ancient Mysteries. The ancient Roman cult that continues to vex scholars. The Mithraic mysteries worshipped a pagan god from subterranean temples buried throughout the empire. They went underground. They went into caves. Why? Because Iranians used to believe the sky was made of stone. Weird. Wonder where they got that idea. So the Liberty Cap, Mithra followers use the model liberty, freedom, and equality die out with the cult of soul and Mithras. Did the red cap of liberty fall to the ground forever, not to rise from the dark ages? Much later, some would say by magic, some would say by coincidence, some would say the spirit never dies. The Phrygian cap of the figure heavily in the French Revolution iconography, probably influenced by the Roman goddess Libertas, spike crown people. And upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, Revelation 17:5, Make America Great Again.
Man.
Archetypical of Babylon. Well, it's the Roman Catholic. Washington, D.C. was originally called Rome in 1669. I think it even goes back to 63. Some other sources I was coming. It's surrounded by 7 hills. See all this other stuff? Red caps, red caps. It's all over. Spike crown, red caps. And on either side of the small figures, almost duplicates Mithra. Holds up a torch upward and represents the power of life and death, right? The waking and waning, the springing forth of autumn, and the ascent and descent. They were also symbols of the 2 great powers represented in the alchemical and Rosicrucian tradition, by the right hand raised with the finger pointing upwards and the left finger pointed downwards, accompanied by the mystic utterances coagula and salve, the tattoos on Baphomet's things: collect and disperse, fix and volatilize. So yes, Hermes is Baphomet and Mithra and Nimrod's son Tammuz, Sol Invictus. This is their antichrist figure. This is who you were worshiping with your Christmas tree. By placing a yew tree in your home, you are worshiping the concept of rebirth, regeneration, or reincarnation, transhumanism, or 666 of Nimrod being born again into his son, the occult Messiah figure, Christ, pagan, doppelganger, Tammuz. This is the worship of groves unto Ashtaroth of Baal in your homes. This is the true symbolism surrounding the Hermetic Kabbalah tree of life, Satan's counterfeit, and mockery of how we achieve eternal life. Hermeticism, Freemasonry, New Ageism says, find God within, whereas the Bible, in stark contrast, says submit to him. So again, just showing the pentagram. This is the very center, but you see how it connects to, what is it, the little horn? Speaks out of a. Why is the pentagram point right to the White House? Why, Your Honor? Why? And you're seeing how it also connects to the tree of life. Their tree of life. There's a lot of controversy about the inverted pentagram. It has earned a reputation and represented as Satan worship. The inverted pentagram is not Satan or devil worship. Guess what page wrote this? In Wicca, it represents the male energies of the male gods such as Cernuous or Pan. Right back to the beginning. Who are the gods of earth and anything wild such as plants, seeds, woodland, vegetation, and farming. It represents the male energies of the sun gods. These gods are a consort of the goddess. The energies are the strongest during the spring and summer, as with the sun is the strongest, because the gods are depicted with horns of a stag or a goat. They are likened to the Christian devil. Not the devil, though. Not the devil. Cernuous and Pan are loving gods and not evil in any way. Oh! There is no Satan or devil in Wicca at all. He is a Christian concept. He is a fallen angel of the Christian God. Wiccans do not believe in the devil in any way, shape, or form. Some traditions, such as the Gardnerian or Alexandrian, the inverted pentagram represents learning to control their dark side as well as their light. What does the Bible say? You can't have light and darkness? No. which is, again, that's the whole thing of Freemasonry. You got to go by the white or the black. No. And do not let the dark take over, and they grow in power. If the badge of the second degree, which, facing upward, the pentagram represents the goddess of the heavens, facing downward, it represents the god in the earth. So obviously, that's not a Christian that wrote that, but this is, again, I'm taking from their sources, proving for what they say. But in Freemasonry and witchcraft, it's the same thing. There's a ceremony performed involving a noose placed around the neck, ceremony of a noose placed around the neck, and a blade pressed up against their chest, and a blade pressed up against their chest. The initiate bows in front of the worshipful master. The initiate bows in front of the high priest, priestess. And the words are spoken going from dark to light. And the words are spoken, one coming from dark to light. At the end of every ceremony, the words spoken, so mote it be. At the end of every ritual, the words so mote it be are spoken. Same thing. You warlocks, get out of the Masonic lodges. So when they're thinking they're doing the sign of the cross over the chest, these Catholics, pentagram. You're doing it over your chest region, right? Fire, air, element, water. You're doing the sigil of Ashtaroth on your chest. Every single time. Pentagram. Baphomet. By the way, the colors of the snapping glove that Thanos had, it's the same thing as the chakras. Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah. Again, Hermes, the alchemical, does that look good to you as a Christian? The all-seeing eye of Horus, which we know is Nimrod's son. Spiritual symbols, indeed. As within, so without, as above, so below. That is the star of Remphan there, folks. Christians, pray for, stop it. I'm showing you Hermes. That has nothing to do with Christ, all occult. Again, another witch page on Instagram. How are you showing that? No, I'm showing you. So stop putting it up because it doesn't symbolize anything good. Fire, water, air, earth. When you are posting this star of Remphan, you are worshiping Nimrod. When you're saying pray for this with this symbol, this is what Israel was doing and God wasn't happy. They lied about the model of the atoms. It's 666. This is what your star Remphan is. You are literally, as a Christian, in essence saying, I want to be part of this empire of iron and clay when you post this. And I guarantee you, the two guys that are here for that, let's look at this. Hermetic, we're almost done. Alchemical traditions, red and black. I'm Dark Maga, Elon. Are often represented as the principles of soul and terra. Light, sun, earth, respectively. Red symbolizes the fiery solar and masculine principles. Fiery, solar, masculine. While the black represents the dark, terrestrial, earth, and the feminine principles. Water is often affiliated with feminine. The combination is seen as a necessary balance for spiritual growth and transformation. It's essential to note that these interpretations can vary across different occultic traditions and individuals and may not universally be accepted. However, a combination of red and black colors is often used to represent the complexities of the human experience, the balance of opposing forces, and the pursuit of spiritual growth and transcendence. Transition. X for Osiris, Nimrod. Happy Xmas? Really know why you say that? X-Men, genetically mutated humans, Nephilim. Xbox. X marks the spot. X, Elon, with all his stuff. Christ's return leads on the exodus out of Mystery Babylon the Great. Leave your X. X, eliminate the man. X is only woman. X is to violate the population by violating and possessing the vessels of his creation. The phallus, you cut it off, right? You have X and Y chromosome, cut it off. What do you get? Just X, just solely women. If you have only women, you have no masculine man leading, which is what a man is supposed to do. What did Satan go after in the Garden of Eden from the tree of life? Well, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but what did he go after?
Eve.
A woman.
Yeah.
A woman, because it's easier to manipulate them. And men, it is our duty to stand in opposition to that, right? A man should stand, a woman should be allowed to dance, and the child is the thing that it should be crawling. A man take a stand. I don't understand the ceremony of getting down on one knee. Why? Isn't that subservitude? No, 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 no. If anything, you're pursuing me because I'm a man on a mission. I'm a man with a goal, right? This is why Dad would vet out saying, yeah, he's good stock. I'd endorse him as a son-in-law, right? This is what God did. I give you my son. Do you want to accept the terms? Ah, I'm good, thanks. So we're finishing up. No phones in the future, only Neuralink, says Elon Musk. Elon Musk, we are summoning the demon with artificial intelligence. Elon Musk, AI will bring universal income for all. That's Newsmax. That's not even CNN, folks. A equals 1, I equals 9. 1 plus 9 equals X. X, 10. Osiris rising. Malkuth, Osiris. Baphomet X. Root server for all your AI computers from whatis.com is known as Demon. The giant was slain from those groves in Lebanon, this one location. They became known as a spirit being, a Daemon. And it says in the book of Enoch, when your kids are slain, as he's locking the angels under the river Euphrates, they're going to roam the earth for 70 generations until the time of the end. How do they get back? Well, we already talked about demon waves, right? Earlier with 5G pentagram. And I decided to put this together again with that quote that I showed you before: the Trinity God, the foundation of all false religions. Oh, everybody's freaking out right now. No, doctrine is more fundamental or more emphasized in Freemasonry than that of the Trinity. MasonicWorld.com. The mystery of the Trinity is the central doctrine of the Catholic faith. Upon it are all based on other teachings of the Church. Handbook for Today's Catholic, page 11. As you can see, Osiris, the Father, Nimrod, Horus, the Holy Spirit, and Isis, the Son. It's God the Father and my word, and because you are submitting to the word, I give you the gift of the Holy Spirit. It's not God the Father, because no man gets to the Father but through me. How do you get to him? Thy word I have hidden in my heart that I may not sin against God, right? I go to the Son, which is the word. I emulate the word. I try to strive to live that word. It's not just I say I'm a mouth pleaser. No, I'm striving daily. I die to self daily. Otherwise, you're buying into the unholy trinity of Babel and the all-seeing eye of, oh, you'll get there. You'll ascend on your own in this Kabbalah tree of life that they hung Christ upon. And again, Odin, the primal sound, the Om, the air, the ash, again for the phoenix. Greater ritual of the pentagram. This is earth. And you see that pose. Earth as above, so below. And again, for the money. With the darker draw the carve where the eye of Horus, with the chanting 7 times sacred verses from the Book of the Dead. Let the eye of Horus be my protection, O Osiris, foremost of the mysteries. Let it spread its protection over me, as it did with you. May no harm come to me, and no one can harm me. Pyramid. Remember when I said this before? Kid in the middle represents Tammuz. He's holding a key. What did I tell you about unlocking with the key with Odin? Osiris. Mono, Mani. Mono, eye, one eye. Pyramid, fire, pi, fire. Ray, Ra of the sun, mid in your midst. Fire of the sun god in your midst. The holy Kabbalah, all-seeing eye. This is what they're unlocking in 2025 in the year of the snake. and you're still playing kiddie games. Last slide. MAGA, highest priest position of the Church of Satan. MAGA means magic, witch, magical, sorceress, witch, in Sanskrit, magician or priest of the sun, magician. White tunic, red sash, bafflement. Adonis, as I read before, connects with Tammuz. Adonis, Donald, stems from Adonis. Adonis's equivalent is Dumazid. Dumazid is Sumerian goat shepherd god. Dumazid's equivalent is Tammuz. Tammuz in Greek was known as Hermes. Hermes in Rome was known as Mercury. Mercury traces directly back to Marduk and Baal. The heart, Mercury. Again, Dawn means Lord, Baal means Lord, husband, or master. Tammuz is Christ's pagan doppelganger, the occult's messiah figure, his symbols, all-seeing eye, the Caduceus staff, the infinity logo, and the cross, the symbol that Christ died upon. And today, we have a man who has United Nations symbolism, birthright, and he's known as Donald, the world ruler, or Trump, to deceive, one-up, or outdo someone else. Don't know, but I'm hoping I connected enough dots here today. You look like you're passing out to connect for you that doesn't look right as a Christian. The Christmas tree, the Kabbalah, it's all right there. That's all I got, sir.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna have to re-listen to this. I did back today, and I've been trying to do a cutting
Nice.
routine,
Good
and
start.
I'm so tired. I haven't had carbs in like 7 days,
Ah!
and I'm never up this late. But you brought the fire. You always do. Support Brandon, everybody. He needs to keep doing his work. We need him to keep doing his work because it's spreading. I've never seen none of this before Brandon started talking about it. Now people are starting waking up. I see other people posting about it. It's catching. God using other people. Support Brandon. Brandon, you ain't crazy, brother. You just are getting shown things that other people can't see. And you got to remember that, man. It's a hard, weight to carry to be able to see a lot of things that people can't see. And I can't even imagine the stress you're under and getting all the, people talking trash and not understanding you, and you're coming from love and they're just showing you hate. I know it's taxing, brother, but you're doing his work and you're getting those riches in heaven, brother.
That's all we can hope for, man. It's not again. I do it out of love. If people invest, I know it's long always, but it's like for me, it's like you've been living decades of lies. You can't make a couple like an hour a day, or just listen to an hour of this a day, or whatever. It's I don't know, and then share, like and
Yeah.
share. If you can't contribute, because that does help the algorithm. So maybe one person will see it, and it changes their life forever because you help boost the algorithm. Granted, if this is our last year, folks, please don't let the work be done in vain and the research in vain. We both sacrificed a lot, and that's why I love doing shows with Cliff, because he lets me talk. Other shows want me to do it in capsized bites, and sometimes you can't do it because it's like if I'm taking out half, it's like trying to read a chapter in the Bible, but if I take out 90% of the verses and I'm only ping-ponging where I want to cherry pick from, you're not going to really get the message of what context is, and that's what I'm trying to do with symbolism. So thank you for having me on.
No, I appreciate it, man. And you need that time. Like you have a vision, God showing you, or however it's working through your understand. You need that time to show it. And it was great. I'm gonna re-listen to it tomorrow. And thanks again, Brandon. I appreciate it, brother.
Pleasure, sir.